whenever there's an episodic series, you can bet two men will talk to you. AJ Talon and Owen Finch give their thoughts on Owen and AJ Talks.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Owen and AJ Talks. I'm Owen Finch, and I'm here with...
Trying to make that thumbs up emoji.
Not today.
Today, it happened by accident last time, but today we're talking about YellowJackets, the season 2 finale. Owen, you want to give me I'll do a drum roll. Tell me the episode name.
Weirdly enough, because this was a big thing we complained about throughout our private talk, it's called storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah, the storytelling for this episode is a little wonky. You know, it had a couple drinks before driving home. But yeah, Owen, I'm going to guess the air date. And since I literally threaded the needle last time, I'm going to say, because last time it aired for, like, Showtime members on May 19th, and for everybody else, May 21st. I'm going to say May 27th.
Ooh. You're still one day off. It's May 28th. You're still in that between time. So,
yeah, because 21st, you know what? No, I fucked that up. I was thinking, But
yeah, I'm actually happy with the season 2 finale. You know, it took us a little longer to get here than we wanted to. Obviously, we wanted to be doing season 3 weekly, but we just couldn't make that work because none of our schedules lined up. And then,
yeah, we're supposed to really finish season 2 like before New Year's, and then we're obviously in April now.
No, not before New Year's. It was going to be before the season 2, because the season 2 episode premiered. Because that was never the plan to do it.
Yeah, I guess like February. Okay, so we're not too far off. We're like a month and a half late, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So we're here now. I'm kind of glad we took our time a little bit because you know, it would have been a lot to try to get that all in. So, and I feel like that's what we're going to talk about at the end. I feel like after how this episode ended and the fact that we spent so much time on this, we're going to want to take a break, you know, in between seasons.
Which I'm looking forward to. We can kind of we've been stuck on Red vs. Blue and YellowJackets for so long. It'll be nice to get back to, you know, the other shows that we've been neglecting, like a fucking starving child off the corner.
Right. But yeah, so we're at the end of season 2, though. And yeah, I'll just kind of say, like, you know, a little bit behind the scenes. Even the show had been renewed for season 3, but obviously, even though it was renewed, we didn't really know what the future or like when the show was even was going to come back. Because again, the writer's strike happened, and you know, a lot of things anyways just got put on hold. A lot of movies, a lot of shows just got put on hold because of the writer's strike. So it could be one of those things. If this writer's strike didn't end, you know, the show realistically you could get the plug pulled, even though it's renewed for, you know, because all the writers could have left or whatever, you know, if the writer's strike didn't go well. But we didn't know for a long time when we were going to get a season 3, and we were supposed to, like I said, get that episode about the cabin guy. It was supposed to be a bonus episode, but because the writer's strike and stuff was going on at the same time, they just never did one. You know, it's you know, and I don't think they ever will now. You know, we'll see what happens, but you know, but yeah, let's just get to this episode. Already rants right away, and we're not even going to be covering the episode yet because I got to say who wrote and directed this episode. The director of this episode was Karen Kuzma. Obviously, she directed episode 1, and I think you're thinking, AJ, yeah, episode 1 of season 2, Ron. Nope. Episode 1 of the whole show has not. This was her return to directing. She hadn't directed an episode since. She is a big director, so it's not like she's a no-name or anything like that. But just a little odd that, you know, it's the season finale. She hasn't really worked on this since, like, the first episode of the whole show, and you bring her back. So it's a thing.
Yeah, this is a weird one, especially because of the big stuff that happens in this episode. With me and Owen, we're going on a big rant off camera. but how like it's really weird and like usually like for big storylines or big episodes, they'll have like certain consistent writers direct those episodes. How Bryan Cranston did that episode Breaking Bad, that was heavily involving Walt. Aaron, whatever on Avatar, usually did a lot of the Zuko-centric episodes. Things like that. Man of Action does a lot of the Vilgax episodes of Ben 10 season 1. But no, YellowJackets is like, oh, you did the first episode and you haven't done one since? Okay, then do the season 2 finale.
Yeah. And again,
don't worry.
And again, this director, has worked on some stuff, and it's not like she's a no-name director. She has a wiki, so that's good. But again, I don't know why you would bring somebody back that hasn't directed an episode since the first one. So it's like, When
I say that, I don't mean she should never direct YellowJackets again. I just mean, like, why have her do those 2 big episodes with nothing in between?
Yeah.
You would direct, maybe a few of them before the finale, Especially
because this ends up being an important finale. But yeah, it was written by, Amani Rosa, completely new person. We haven't heard of this person writing YellowJackets before. So the co-creators didn't write this,
at least the director has some experience with YellowJackets. For a big episode like this, where, a couple big things happen, having completely new writer writing. It's like, okay, interesting choice.
I think I said this literally last video about this same topic. It was a choice that was made, AJ. It was a choice. The cinematography was done by Chasta Spawn, and then the editing was done by Jeff Israel and Genevieve Butler. So, and this episode had a longer runtime. It went 61 minutes. Usually, they're like about 50 minutes. So this episode went longer. So I guess they got that right. They made the finale longer. I guess that's the only thing they got right. In terms of behind the scenes stuff, they made the episode longer. Even though I'm pretty sure I don't know what more they added to it. It seems like we just got. There's one scene that's like, okay, that was definitely probably extended because the episode was longer. But AJ, we're changing shit up. Usually I talk about the past and you talk about the present, but I basically took executive control and was just like, no, AJ, I'm talking about the present this time because there's a big thing that happens in the present that I wanted to talk about.
Talk about the past, which has changed, and I guess we'll get right into it. So picking up pretty much immediately where last episode left off, the YellowJackets are bringing back Javi's body to the cabin, and Travis is on the porch, just standing around nervously. I guess they stopped holding a knife to his throat, and he's really chill with that. They're all just standing around together.
That's the kind of the thing I have a thing. So like, we see Travis and like the other background girl with black hair and stuff. They just stayed back, like, after everyone went to hunt down Javi and stuff.
Well, I get why a couple people stayed behind, because, again, Travis was, like, getting in the way, and they were, like, holding him at knife point so he wouldn't chase after them.
Yeah, but then they weren't when we saw them here.
He's just on the porch nervously. And it's like, I guess they were all like, okay, they've been gone a while. You can't chase after them now. I guess we'll just let you go.
I would still try if I was him. If they let me go, I'd be like,
"What? Okay, I'm not gonna just sit around. Like, I'll still go try and help her."
Right.
Like, even if I don't know where they went, it's fucking worth the college try.
I mean, Travis.
Again, with his dick in his hands, like do something. Dude.
I mean, Travis knows this area probably better than they do. He goes out and hunts every day.
He'd be like, "Okay, where would Natalie go?"
Right.
So. Yeah. And again, like, this is going to be a common thing with Travis. They just held a knife to your throat, or why are you just chilling with them?
You know what? This is weird. Season 1 ended the same way.
Yeah. And this is a point I'm going to bring up a few times with YellowJackets this episode. So, but then Travis, I do like his reaction here where he's like super happy to see Natalie. He's like, "Oh my God, you're okay, thank God." because obviously for him, Natalie was the one in danger. Javi went to go help her.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Like Javi's like fine. Natalie was the one he was worried about. But then he sees Javi strung up like an animal. His hands and legs are tied to the big stick they're carrying, and they kind of just dump him on the ground. And Travis is stunned by this. He goes up to Javi's body and just starts cradling him, and he's sobbing.
Yeah, I like the music they picked for this too. It was really good. I mean, it would be better if it was their own soundtrack, but I'm going to take what I can give it. The song they used for this fit, and
Remind me, YellowJackets uses a lot of like popular songs, but I do wish they used like their own music.
Yeah, but yeah, I did like this because in the beginning of this, when I saw this at the time, I think I was thinking like Travis knows what he's gonna have to probably end up doing. Like he's upset about his brother dying, but when I watched this at the time, I was thinking like, no, he's not just crying because of this. He's crying because he knows he's gonna have to do. But in the moment, I like that it's just him sobbing about like his brother. He's not even thinking about the fact he's gonna have to eat him or anything. He's just upset that he just lost his brother.
I was even like thinking about that. He's just horrified about his brother. He just got him back. And I also like from his perspective, he probably blames them a bit because Natalie is like, when she first sees him, she's like obviously upset and she's trying to tell him like it was an accident. He just sees his brother brought back by everybody else. He doesn't know what happened exactly. So
yeah,
probably just like thinking like, oh my god, you guys murdered my.
They also Natalie also said that the wilderness chose, and originally when I think when you watch this, I'm wondering if Natalie just said this because like to make maybe Travis feel better since like he believes in this shit, but obviously as you find out that was not the case. But that's what I was thinking when I saw this at the time, that she was just saying this to kind of maybe make Travis feel better, I guess.
Yeah, so not again, like I brought it up last time. Well, because again, I thought it was a cliffhanger if Javi was dead or not, and then you told me like, oh yeah, no, Javi's dead. I was like, oh. I guess we'll never find out what the fuck he meant by she told me to like stay away.
Yep.
And then, a big thing was Travis was like super upset trying to find Javi. He was basically driving himself crazy trying to find Javi. As soon as they got Javi back, Javi wasn't speaking. And then, even to Travis was trying to talk to him, and Travis wouldn't, Javi wouldn't speak to him. And then that's kind of it, Javi talked last episode to Natalie, but, we don't really know why. And, again, Travis and Javi never really, like, made up.
Yeah, nothing. Like you said off camera, it was like, what was the point of Javi? It just seemed like he was there to further Travis's story. Then,
exactly. It's like a lot of their relationship wasn't even like their relationship. It was more so about Travis. We don't really get Javi's point of view on it. Like the major thing was, Travis was taking out his anger at their father's death on Javi, and then he made it up to him by giving Javi his father's ring.
Yep.
But again, that's all Travis' character. We don't really get much from Javi's side.
I mean, we always made that joke, and unfortunately, the joke turned real. Javi just fucked off half the half the show. So it's like,
And then, this is a big talking point of last time. Again, I feel like it has to be brought up in this episode. Because a big part of this episode is dealing with the aftermath of Javi's death. Although I will say, I do like that, because that was a big thing with the beginning of this season, was we time jumped after, in season 1, we time jumped after Bible Girl's death and Jackie's death.
Yep.
So I do like we're getting like an immediate aftermath for Javi's death.
An interesting character to choose, but that's good. I was going to say...
Javi's the one I gave the shit about.
Yeah.
Interesting choice. It was a choice that was...
I will say this, too. It is weird that, like, this episode, they spent the most... Weirdly enough, they spent the most time of Javi in his death episode than, like, Hugh. Like, and the whole show. That this is, like, the most... Weirdly enough, this is probably...
It's got more screen time than alive Javi.
Yep. So, that's a thing. The cold open...
awkwardly walk. What's up?
Say that again.
I said, and then everybody just kind of like awkwardly walks back inside as Travis is like sobbing.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of, well, all right, we'll leave you to it.
Natalie was the only one that had like a reaction there, which was good, I guess. So the cold open was. I thought fine. It's the lead. I liked how Travis acted. I liked
that was good. I have a big issue with how Travis is for the rest of the episode, but this cold open, this reaction from Travis is great. The actor did an amazing job.
Yeah, and then I liked Natalie having to be the one to tell him what happened. I like too that Harvey, not Harvey, Travis kind of like, because we'd only see it in his perspective. Like when he knows something's kind of off too, like with the way Natalie's upset, and like when he turns around, like I don't think he expected his brother was gonna die, but he knew something wasn't right. So I did like that.
And from his point of view, like he said Harvey to help Natalie, but in his mind, Natalie was the one in danger. So when Harvey comes back dead, it's like he didn't, that's like takes him off by surprise. Again, I mean, I'd say it's more. This is a good cold open, and again, I think Natalie and Travis's actors did a really good job. It's more so all the setup that failed this, because again, I don't really care about Javi as a character.
Yes,
I didn't really like Javi or Travis's bond up until this point. They didn't really give that like brotherly vibe. Again, I'm like the mystery of like what Javi was doing all this time. That's I guess we'll never really get answers for that.
And then they built this. They built this bond between Natalie and Travis. Not Travis. They built this bond between Natalie and Harvey, and they did all that shit off screen. So we didn't really get to. Actually, weirdly enough, I can make this joke. It's like that Carolina thing, the episode that went missing. I was supposed to feel that's kind of what happens here. It's like
where you missed that episode where it's like, oh, why does Carolina want to fight Tex? That's weird. Why does she want an AI off of something?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, again, good cold open. It was just really failed by the setup. Like in isolation, it's a really good cold open. Again, it was just the setup that kind of failed it.
And then probably the follow-up failed it too.
Yeah. So again, in isolation, good scene. But yeah. Then once inside, Misty talks to Lottie, who's feeling a bit better. And I do like this, where, last episode, Misty was very caring to Lottie and, like, reassuring her that she wasn't going to die. And, really doing a good job taking care of her. And this time, it's, like, flipped.
Yeah.
Where, Lottie asked what happened, like, she sensed something bad happen. And Misty seemed pretty happy to be like, oh, don't worry, we took care of it. We didn't want you to die, so we decided to sacrifice somebody, and we were going to sacrifice Natalie, but Javi ended up dying by accident, so now we're going to get Javi.
Well, she also mentioned.
I do like this.
She also mentioned because she heard Travis screaming, so like that's what caused this conversation.
Yeah. I was just saying like Lottie could tell something's wrong, but yeah, like Travis was screaming. Lottie's horrified by this, and I do like this because before this, it's a weird situation where, like we said, past Lottie has seemed like so much more knowledgeable and like a mastermind, and present day Lottie just has not seemed like that. And this was kind of a nice bridge, I guess, where here Lottie is horrified and was like, no, when I said, use my body, like if I die, like this isn't what I meant. I didn't want this.
Yep.
Kind of giving some humanization to past Lottie. Again, I feel like bit of a stretch, like you said. I can't really buy past Lottie and present Lottie being the same person. But I do kind of like giving this humanization to past Lottie.
I really like this a lot, too, because I remember I was very vague on this when I mentioned this, because I talked about the past last time. You were probably thinking, like, okay, he didn't really go into detail about it. But, like, I like that, Misty took what Lottie said, and, because Misty's kind of a psycho and stuff, she, like, flipped it. And I feel like this was good because, this builds up Misty as, like, a bigger villain now. And, like, kind of like the one we really shouldn't be rooting for. Because, obviously, the past few episodes have humanized Misty, and I don't really hate that. But this was really good because, like, now Misty, because then she, as you're gonna say, she goes downstairs and lies to everyone that says that Lottie's happy with the wilderness of sacrifice.
He before this was being very caring of Lottie, and when Lottie's voices her disapproval, Misty just basically flips the fuck out on her, where she's like, Lottie, you started this, you have to see it through, don't make everybody feel bad. Which is again, you guys got Javi murdered and now you're going to eat him. And I like how you're worried about them feeling bad about it.
Yeah, I like this a lot from...
You're bad? Oh, you feel bad about this? Well, you're the one who started it,
Yeah, but I really like this scene a lot, where it makes Misty... Because it makes Misty look like the bigger evil than Lottie, when it's been... It's been kind of both of them in Medieval, but now, I just really wish, that they would have done this kind of in the present, where they built to this, but we didn't really know what they were talking about. Kind of with Carolinas, then with Tex, in the present in OVB. Even though you kind of know they have a rivalry, but they don't really.
And then in the past, we kind of see how it all played out.
Yeah. So I kind of wish they would have done, a few scenes in the present where we saw that there was this some type of rift between Lottie and Misty, but we didn't know what that was.
Yeah, a lot of this again. Amazed at how these people are the way they are in the present.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Sean and Thaisa, I get why they're so close because they're pretty close in the past. Natalie's surprisingly chill with everybody after they almost murdered her. And then, ended up getting Javi killed. Yeah. But
I like the Lottie and Misty stuff for what it was.
Again, like you said, I like that they kind of established Misty as the greater evil. I like that we had a couple episodes making you feel really bad for Misty and humanizing her, just to kind of remind you no, she's still a horrible psycho.
Yeah, I would have liked a few. I mean, obviously, I feel like we couldn't do this for too long, but I would have liked a few episodes like this where Lottie, Misty's basically the antler queen through Lottie and all that type of stuff. That would have been really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked that, where Misty's kind of the secret puppet master.
Yeah, they kind of go away from this at the end of the end of the episode. So,
funny enough, it reminds me a bit of Naruto, where there's a terrorist group in it, and this guy called Pain is the leader, and then there's this comic relief guy called Toby, and then later in the show it's revealed Toby was just pretending to be a dumbass, and he was actually the secret puppet master.
I mean, weirdly enough, that Pokemon movie we went and saw, we were meant to think one of the guys is evil, but then we find out it's the guy in the wheelchair or whatever type of thing.
Oh yeah, that was forever ago. I'm surprised you remember that. But yeah, the point is, Misty was Misty's always been Misty's kind of the one that everybody in the group talks down to. She's the outsider. So I like the idea of and everybody worships Lottie. So I kind of like the idea of Misty being this outsider.
Yeah.
Is actually kind of the one in charge of the group, but no one really knows it.
A better one, Lawnfane and the Earthkin. Lawnfane's running the town kind of through the Earthkin.
It was funny. What I was about to say, China has a big history of that, of emperors actually being puppets for people behind the scenes. And then that's what the Earth King and Lawnfane are based on, is Chinese emperors in the past being puppets for people behind the scenes.
So there you go.
Yeah. Because that is something I like about YellowJackets, is a lot of it is kind of just civilization on a smaller scale. The finding religions and survival, shit like that. Everybody kind of having designated jobs. Well, that one they haven't done a good job on.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They are the hunters, but everybody else has got bombs.
I feel like they'll do all the research for stuff like that, and then when they have to apply it sometimes in the episode, it's not done well in the episodes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they kind of just don't follow through on it.
Or they'll do the research.
But like you said, they don't really follow up on it throughout the rest of the episode. And they're not. And in season 3, I don't know how they could follow up on it because Lottie steps down as leader at the end of the episode, so they can't really do Misty being the secret puppet master of the group anymore.
Yeah, that would have been a really good. You wouldn't have to do this all the time. Like, you wouldn't have to. I would end this, early on in season 3, but like it would have been really good. And then like you find out like you could cause division. Like, weirdly enough, you could actually make Molly be like, wait, that doesn't sound like something Lottie would say, type of thing. Like, that could act like Molly could be the one to call Misty out on it or something. Like someone who's really loyal to Misty.
Oh, Game of Thrones. I haven't seen all of Game of Thrones, but from one of the bits I have seen, that's another big thing. It's like there is a rightful ruler on the throne, but it's actually like this older guy who's like really in control, and like the younger guy in the throne is kind of like his puppet.
Yeah. So I really wish they would have done this. It would have been nice too, because like Lottie would have been injured for. They could have had Lottie be injured for a few episodes, and then like Misty's the one pulling the strings and everything like that.
And man, remember, Misty was the one who destroyed the plane tracker.
Yep.
It's really cool, because she was popular out in the woods. So that would have been cool. It's like the whole reason they're still out there is because Misty wanted to be popular, and now she's kind of the one pulling the strings, manipulating Lottie. But again, alas, they didn't really follow through on that from this scene. But again, in isolation, I feel like I'm going to say it a lot this episode. In isolation, really good scene.
Isn't it kind of cool? The whole thing, they're in a plane crash and they're isolated into this one area, and a lot of this stuff that's been good has been good in isolation. So it's like,
yeah, like you said, Misty goes downstairs after kind of manipulating Lottie into like shutting her mouth about her disapproval, and just says like, "Yep, Lottie's pleased with us." And they're all kind of like, "Okay, cool. Guess let's go. Give Travis the good news." They don't say that, but then they all walk outside, and Travis is still crying over Javi.
yeah,
And I do like this, seeing Javi kind of get more and more like throughout the episode, because obviously he's like fucking frozen.
so there you go.
And Travis just kind of looks over and sees Shauna with the knife, and he kind of realizes like what they want to do, and he's just saying like, no. And nobody says anything, which I do like this, because sometimes the group just comes off as a bunch of fucking psychos for no reason. Like, when they're all pissed off at Jackie for trying to sleep with Travis, when they all tried to murder Travis, it's like, you guys don't really have a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
Much like the bed. So I like hearing.
You like hear what?
So we're gonna have a scene later on where I'm kind of like, okay, but for this, I like that they're all just kind of silent, like they're not really trying to convince Travis. They all kind of just stand there being like, Travis, we gotta do this,
I really like this. I liked because when Travis looks back, I think this is when he realizes like, okay, he realizes what they were about to go do, and then he's like, and they're I still kind of think this is what he's kind of thinking, like, yeah, I might have to do this too, type of thing. Like, I feel like it's kind of crossed his mind a little bit. Like, he realizes, like, yeah, Javi's going to be used for food and everything like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's obviously because they don't say a word. Travis just starts saying no, like he knows what they want.
And he shoved Shauna walking by, which was good.
Yeah, I do like that. He's like pissed off with Shauna, because obviously Shauna's gonna be the one who's gonna cut him up.
Yeah.
It is really weird they have not spoken to each other. And remember that was a whole scene in season 1 where she finds out Travis is dead. And I think you brought up, it's like, I hope the whole reason Shauna was sad wasn't just because of what happened with the Doom Company. But again, so far, it really just seems to be the case that like Travis and Shauna have not spoken to each other.
Yeah, this is something, but this is something you could say is a sad thing, but still.
Yeah, where Shauna what happened with Travis because she was the one who like cut up Bobby.
Yeah. I don't know if I completely buy it because it seemed like from that phone call they had some type of bond. We just haven't seen that bond yet, so hopefully we see them bond at some point.
Well, Travis, the only interactions he's had with Shauna are she cut up his brother,
Yeah.
corpse, and she almost slit his throat. So I can't really see a bond being established at this point.
Probably not, but stranger shit has happened.
That is a kind of a thing I have with YellowJackets. And again, I feel like not the fault, but it's because season 2 as a whole, it's the finale. I got to bring it up. The characters kind of stay in their own lanes. They don't really interact much, really open. Like present day, I'm really glad all the characters got together a few episodes ago. But like in terms of like Sean doesn't really interact with anybody outside of her storyline. And Travis only really interacts with Javi and Nally. He doesn't talk to Thaisa. He talks to Van in this episode, and that caught me off guard because those two have not fucking talked to each other at all, and then they have a pretty big scene together all of a sudden.
Right.
So that's something I wish YellowJackets did more, is having the main characters actually like speaking to each other.
I mean, yeah, it's a random thing, but in OVB, we get like the main blue. Sometimes the Bloods and the Blues will have just a conversation with each other type of thing.
Red versus Blue definitely has that issue too, where like it'd be nice to have Tucker and Lopez talk more.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, YellowJackets isn't the only show with this problem, but YellowJackets it's really noticeable.
Especially too because it's not like all the main characters are pretty much like almost the only people left in the plane crash, so you would think they would have some type of conversation and everything like that.
Like everyone on Team Avatar has pretty established relationship with each other.
Yeah.
Even Zuko was only part of the group for like fucking like 6 episodes, but he has a really good relationship with everybody.
Yeah.
Even off, and it's funny because they even make a joke about how Zuko never went on a life-changing field trip with Toph.
Yeah, and like in Breaking Bad, Mike and
Mike,
yeah,
Gus, they all have like really interesting relationships with each other.
Yep.
And again, not this episode's fault, but I feel like I need to bring it up because it's the finale. So anything you were gonna do this season, you can't do it anymore. And a big thing is I feel like the character relationships were pretty weak.
I mean, the only time really Shauna and Natalie talk, it wasn't a real conversation. It was in Shauna's dream. That's the only time they've really had like a big conversation or anything like that. So,
yeah. I feel like Shauna's big thing was the baby. I feel like Shauna and Thaisa didn't even talk that much this season. A lot of their bond was last season.
Yeah, they haven't talked alone since.
So she's really isolated from everyone. Which I mean, you can argue that's the point. Jackie's dead, and that was like her best friend. And then her baby died, and that was like a big thing. So I'm fine with the idea of Shauna being kind of like isolated, but I feel like that was more accidental rather than like on purpose.
It's also just weird because, like you're gonna say in a second, yeah, Van and Travis have that talk, but like you said, they haven't built a bond or like even talked to each other at all, really, throughout the show.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of this would hit harder in that case, where if Travis and Van did have a friendship, or again, Javi was friends with fucking anybody.
Yeah,
they have one team with Ben and Natalie because they really did a good job establishing their friendship. But again, for the most part of this episode, it's between characters, and I'm like, none of you really know each other, and you're 2 seasons in. You guys should know each other really well.
I mean, that's what's so good about like some of the stuff in Breaking Bad, because the relationships that are built, like that's why Jesse wants to send money to like Mike's granddaughter and like Drew Sharp's like family, because he built a bond with.
Well, I mean, Walt and Jesse's relationship, they did so much of a better job establishing that relationship in a few episodes than I feel like all of YellowJacket's 2 seasons for a lot of these characters.
Very much so.
Again, Breaking Bad's like the gold standard, like S-tier show, so I'm not expecting the show to be as good as Breaking Bad at establishing the character relationship. But Wait, even like Death Note. Like I really liked, like Ellen Light, Ellen, Chief Yagami and Light,
Yeah.
Matsuda, Chief Yagami and Light, Nell, like
Aizawa,
all those characters.
Aizawa and L's relationship,
Stuff that Aizawa really didn't like L for a few episodes before Aizawa left the
yeah.
task force for a while.
I mean, you got to
And
see.
Aizawa fucking nothing. Who gives a fuck about Aizawa? But even they still established like his relationships with everybody pretty well.
I mean, they did a really good job establishing like what Light and L's friendship could have been when Light got amnesia for those few episodes and everything like that.
Yeah, that was great. They get into that fist fight with each other, and they had a lot of scenes with them like interacting. That was really good.
Yeah.
So, again, it's like when everybody is like watching Travis cry, and Travis knows what they're gonna do, and he kind of walks past Shauna, and she's clearly upset by it. It would hit a lot harder if they did a better job getting us to that point.
Very much so.
Yeah. Sorry, I know I've talked so much about these like two scenes, but again, I want to care more, but it's like
It feels like the show wants you to have. They want you to care more about like, what would you do if this was just like they want you to relate to it more than like actually care about the characters around them type of thing, which I don't think is good.
A horrible situation, and like I could have empathy, but like I would have more empathy if like because the next scene is a pretty long one. It's a very quiet scene where they are taking Javi's clothes off, and I do like this one little scene where Natalie is like kind of upset, and she like throws a little cloth over Javi's like private area.
Yeah.
Kind of like. She doesn't do it because she's like, oh my god, penis. She does it because like it seems like she kind of wants Javi to have some dignity, if they're gonna like do this to him. And again, it's such a little thing. I really appreciate it. Like, oh, I like that. Like, obviously Natalie's very upset that Javi died in her place, and she wants him to like have some dignity before they cut him up.
Yeah, I like that.
But again, they did all of their bonding on screen.
Very much so.
And we get a pretty lengthy scene. It lasts a good couple minutes where Shauna has to like, kind of like she's hesitating to, cut into Javi's body. She's like rubbing her hand against his chest and like his neck and like trying to like bring herself to start, bleeding him out like she would an animal. And again, I have empathy as in like, this is a horrible situation, like having to, essentially treat a human being as just another prey animal, like just any other deer you have. But like in terms of like, I feel like I would feel so much more if they kind of did this in season 1 where Sean and Javi were kind of friends.
Yeah, but nothing
They
since.
only had scenes, and it wasn't really much.
No, he was gonna make something, and then we never found out what he was making, and then they had that scene where he was going to write it into his journal, and then that's it. Then nothing else.
Yeah. So again, it's very well-directed scene. Again, I love how like long and quiet it is and disturbing, and then eventually Shona cuts his throat to bleed him out.
I like that she does, and she blindfolds herself, so she doesn't have to like see herself do it.
Kind of just like walks away, like they don't want to watch this.
It was kind of weird that it was only, like, the characters that are alive in the present that was there.
Every scene in this show, it's really weird, and it's only, like, the main characters and not, like, anybody else.
Yeah, like, the background characters didn't stand around for this.
Yeah. Again, where is Mari? Where's recast girl? I don't know, probably getting recast again.
Probably.
Funny enough,
I didn't mind... Huh?
Funny enough, Ben shows up.
And he brings the episode up instantly.
Yeah.
But this scene, like you said, in isolation, I like how well it's shot. This is a big deal, too, because obviously, even though they've done cannibalism, this is the first time where, like, they're actually going through the process of it, because...
Because with Jackie, she got burnt to a crisp and, like, essentially cooked. And they all kind of dug in. and they were all kind of like out of it. Like they were so delirious from hunger that they like kind of just were hallucinating it being like a banquet.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is kind of like the nitty gritty of it. So hallucinating. There's like it. He isn't cooked to perfection for us. They gotta cut him up like any other animal, and it's very disturbing.
Yeah, again, I would just feel something more if, like, not even just if they built a bomb, but if Harvey was just a character in the fucking show, really, type of thing. So,
and I like it in theory where we kind of gradually get to this point. Like Jackie died, it was nobody's really fault except for maybe Sean. And then they didn't want to eat her, but then they kind of did, like in a fucked up mental state. And if they didn't kill Harvey, kind of. He died by accident, and then now they're eating him. And then I'm assuming next season, because they were gonna kill Natalie, next death will be like they actually kill somebody to eat them.
yeah.
I like the idea of like a gradual, like they didn't just jump straight to killing and eating people. They kind of like gradually got to this point. But again, I feel like we jumped the gun too much on they were going to absolutely fucking murder Natalie.
Very much.
Javi accident and then they cut him up. I feel like when they eventually do hunt and kill somebody, I would have a lot more sympathy.
I would like it better, like, I'm just thinking out loud, like, writing, you see Natalie and Harvey, I wouldn't even do the hunt. I think, let's be honest, they only did the hunt because they were going to do it at the end of this episode, so they wanted us to see the hunt done in the past, so that way they could do it here. But, if I was just writing, I would have, like, Harvey die by accident completely, like you said, like
don't have it be the hunt.
Yeah.
Have Harvey die from something else, by accident, and then they decide to eat it. Because again, I feel like that would make the progression from Jackie to Harvey a lot better. Because again, it feels like they were like from going from Jackie to what they were going to do to Natalie, big jump.
Especially too because they didn't really do a good job the last episode of like telling us they like completely ran out of food. Like because the bear meat, we didn't really find out they had like completely run out of food until like the last episode. So.
To make the Breaking Bad comparison, they do an amazing job with Walter. In season 1, he's struggling to kill Crazy 8, who's a crazy drug dealer who's going to kill him. And then in season 5, he's pretty calm about killing 12 dudes in jail who can't defend themselves. And like, even though he didn't want it, they end up a child dies, and he's pretty chill with just like dissolving his body in acid.
Yeah.
And you might think, oh, wow, that's such a big jump. But when you see all of the things that happened before that, there wasn't really a big jump. It was a bunch of smaller jumps,
Yeah, I agree.
So, again, with this, I feel like the jump from Jackie to Harvey was too big.
I feel like even Death Note did this good, where, Light was killing just criminals, and then... Actually, the first time he actually, like, killed someone that's not a criminal was Ray Pember. But you can make the argument, like, okay, he suspected him as a suspect, so that's fine. When he kills Ray Pember's wife, that's like, okay, like, she wasn't even, like, really suspecting him type of thing. He just wanted to share, like, information.
And clean, she wasn't even, like, a cop. She was just, like, a grieving wife, So, yeah, like, and I feel like Death Note made it pretty clear from episode 1, Light's a fucking villain, even Death Note had a better jump in morality,
I mean, I know
it's
a
pretty big jump from, Light going from killing criminals to killing an FBI agent. But like you said, with context, I feel like it's not as big of a jump.
Right. I feel like another good thing, I mean, we're not talking about morality. In Avatar The Last Airbender, at the end of episode 1, Aang says, he never really wanted to be the Avatar. You get little moments where Aang's actually, like, kind of starting to come around, like, liking being the Avatar type of thing.
Oh, and it's the first time he's, like, actually happy to be the Avatar. He's getting all this attention,
Yeah. So...
Or Washington's a great one, where now that we've seen all the freelancer pass, where he
Right.
was, his director fucked him over. Then South Dakota fucked him over. And then, he thinks the Blues fucked him over. And at that point, he's just like, you know what? I'm just done. I'm done. I'll do whatever it takes to get out of jail at this point.
And then little moments after that, he little by little starts to come around to the Reds and Blues and everything like that.
Just like take a chance on him, let him join the team. And then it seems like he's on Carolina's side with taking on the director. But yeah, then like you said, he gets a couple scenes with like Caboose and everybody else where he kind of comes around and he ends up defending them against Carolina.
I mean, I remember I said that in the review with Caboose and Washington, but that's what makes it. That little scene right there, it's not much, but that's so much with context at the same time they have in the sunset.
So, so again, this jump with Javi feels, well, again, it's Javi specifically, it's how Javi died because they were going to fucking kill Natalie. Feels like too much of a jump.
Yep. And again, I feel like it just doesn't help that Javi and Natalie's relationship was done off screen. Javi was just a nothing. So, like, it's not just, like, the big jump. It's also just about how everything was done, too.
Yeah. And then Ben, being the fucking giga chat he is, again, doing more work in one season than everybody else combined, shows up and he's, like, happy. He's like, oh, cool. I'm going to find Natalie and fucking, Well, I'm actually wondering about this. It seems like after he sees Javi's body, he tells Natalie, like, listen, me and you will just go to the cave. But I was wondering if he was going to tell anybody else about this beforehand. It seems like he was just going to tell Natalie, but, like, I'm curious if he was going to tell anybody else. But, like, once he saw Javi's body, he was definitely just telling Natalie. I
would like to think that he was just going to tell Natalie and maybe Travis, because it seems like, they're the only ones.
Done pretty well.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like even Shauna, I feel like he, because, I mean, I don't know. He didn't really talk to Shauna, but, like, Shauna, was obviously, like, worried about her baby and stuff like that. I feel like he wouldn't see Shauna as, like, a psycho.
Right. Yeah, I think he was. I think he definitely wasn't going to tell Misty. I don't think he was going to tell Thaisa because of the sleepwalking thing, probably. Van, I would say probably not. Maybe not Van.
Because Ben's pretty against Lottie, and Van, like, worships fucking, like, the ground she walks on.
Yeah, but then I was thinking, I remember, like, Van, like, mentioned that, like, her and Ben were working on the map together, but I don't know if that's one of those things where they were both just making the map.
Ben and Natalie, that were working on the map together.
Yeah, but Van had mentioned to Thaisa in an episode that, like, Ben and I have been keeping track.
You're right, I forgot about that.
I can't blame it because they knew that they haven't done much with it since. So, I think he was going to separate the group. I think he was going to have Lottie and They'll be in the cabin, and then probably everyone else that seems. Even though Travis is buying in, I feel like he would still tell Travis because I feel like he could talk Travis out of it, type of thing.
So I think the idea is, that would have been nice if we got a bit of a delay, because, like, pretty much Ben gets back, first thing he sees, well, it's funny, he sees, like, oh my god, meat, okay, cool, you guys want food, and he, like, he's happily walking over, but then he sees the clothes, and, like, he gets a closer look, and he sees, like, human hair, and he realizes, like, oh shit, that's Javi.
Yep.
He's obviously horrified. And he starts to, like, back away. And Natalie comes over, and she asks the question everybody should be fucking asking of, like, Ben, where the fuck were you?
Yep.
And then Ben was like, what happened with Javi? And then he's like, you know what? Doesn't matter. Like, I found where Javi's been hiding. Like, there's a cave. Me and you can go there for the rest of the winter. And, like, you're not like these other girls. Like, you're sane. You're not dangerous. We can go there, just meeting. And I do like this, where Natalie says, like, Coach, you're a good person. You should go by yourself. And Ben's like, no, look, you're a good person too. Like, you don't have to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And then says, like, no, that, like, they were going to kill me, but I let Javi die in my place. So, like, I do. And Ben obviously, like, taken aback by this. And again, well, it's interesting because, the way Natalie says it makes it seem like, she was going to die, and then, like, she got Javi killed on purpose, basically, to save herself. Because obviously she doesn't go into detail. She doesn't say, like, Javi fell on the ice.
Right.
Like, Misty stopped.
I like this scene a lot, though, just to see, because they had a bond, and it seemed like, the bond gets broken here. And just the way Ben acted to this, because, he starts tearing up and everything like that, and he's just upset because he's, like, lost his only friend that he really had, like, out in the wilderness now, and everything like that.
Yeah, earlier, like, I feel like a lot of the Javi scenes would, like, hit a lot more if we gave a shit about Javi. This was a great scene, not just in isolation, just a great scene, because they really did a good job establishing Natalie and Ben's bond. Natalie was the first person Ben came out to about being gay. They were working together at the beginning of the season to try and map out, like, the area. Ben was giving Travis advice on, like, condoms and, like, sleeping with Natalie. Gave, Natalie advice to Travis when Travis was upset with her, and being like, hey, listen, the kid's in love with you. Don't worry about it. It's not, like, you personally that, like, he's having issues.
Yep.
And we got a lot of, like, even last episode where they were talking about Lottie dying. Like, we just got a scene where Natalie and Ben were, like, talking to each other about it.
And this is really upsetting, because, like, they had a friendship, and it seemed like, you could kind of tell, like, Natalie's buying in a little bit to the supernatural stuff a little bit because of, like, the way she's talking. And that's why I think Ben's upset, He didn't just lose a friend, but, like, she's, like, the last one that was really thinking logically and everything like that.
Big thing he says is, like, hey, listen, you're not like these other girls. Like, you're not, like, a nut job. You're not buying for this cold stuff. And then when she says, like, I got Javi killed in my place, and, like, she's talking about the wilderness, it makes Ben realize, like, oh, shit. Like, she's gone.
Yeah. So I like this scene. This was really heartbreaking. Again, Ben is just... Huh?
And again, Ben doesn't know the circumstances with Javi. So the way Natalie phrases it makes it seem like she, like, got Javi killed on purpose.
Yeah. So again, this is... Again, it's a Ben... Ben's scenes are awesome. I love them. They're so great.
Fucking, like, Atlas carrying the show on his shoulder. Which, again, impressive for a man with one leg.
Yeah. Honestly, without Ben, I don't think, I don't know how we would feel about this season.
And again, the fucking Giga Chat. Like 3 scenes in this episode. Again, he's like the character with the only fucking brain sometimes.
Yeah, there's only one thing I think he didn't like that he does particularly, but even then we can.
Compared to other stuff, I'm like, it kind of, I can see it.
So, just Ben, you're so good. Why you don't? Honestly, I hate to say this, Ben. You don't. When Natalie says he doesn't belong here, he doesn't belong in this show sometimes, just because of how good he is.
He's so confident. I'm like, Ben, why are you such a chat? I love you. Man. And then this is kind of separate from everything else, but we get a scene where Ben is back in the cave. By himself. So obviously he took what Natalie said to heart, and he went by himself. And obviously his plan is to just kind of ride out the winter. And he's trying to start a fire, but he can't get it going, and he just kind of seems frustrated. And this is going to tie into later on in the episode, like the very end.
Yeah, I like this a lot because I feel like the loneliness was kicking into him too, because like now he's truly alone. Like at least he had Natalie and like Travis and stuff to talk to. Now he's got nobody.
One shot, it was kind of far away to show like it's just him in this small cave, by himself.
Yeah. That's why Ben's so good. Little scenes like this are just a deep dive into his character. It's so good. Like.
there's so much about him. Like you said, now he's truly alone. Like last season, nobody really respected him or took what he said seriously. And then this season again, like pretty much all he had was Natalie, and then he's lost his only friend out here.
Yeah. So again, I wonder if this is gonna go back. Does Ben wish he died last season because now he's got the respect of now he's got nothing. He's got nobody.
Yeah. And then we get a scene with Travis and Van.
Random.
Which is aside from Travis elbowing her in the fucking face last episode, these two have not talked to each other.
Oh, there's one more scene actually where Van gives him shit about about pornography and stuff. That's it. Nothing else.
Wait, what? When did that happen?
Remember they find the porn in the cabin and then they were like all the women were giving Travis shit about it, and I'm pretty sure Van was one of the women that talked to him about it.
Oh, I thought you were saying that happened this episode. I was like, when the fuck did that happen? Yeah, last season. Yeah, I guess that counts.
Something. Gotta take what we can get.
Yeah. And again, a scene I feel like would hit a lot harder if Travis spoke to people outside of his storyline, because he's really only ever talked to Natalie, and he's had one scene with Ben and he's Javi, I guess.
That's it. Nobody else.
So yeah, Van is talking with Travis, basically trying to convince him that what they're doing is right, and he's basically she says if you want me to say I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm really happy to be alive, and so are you. And she's basically gaslighting Travis and then kind of buying into the whole cult thing. And she basically says Javi was chosen by the wilderness, and he would have wanted you to eat him, basically, and basically says let your brother help you, don't let his death be in vain. Basically, she's saying all this stuff about how because again when she says I'm really happy to be alive, and so are you, she's kind of bringing Travis down to their level.
I feel
obviously horrified by this, and she's basically saying to him you should be happy that your brother died, and if you eat him, that's not disrespecting him. That's what he would want. He would want you to eat him.
What I did about what Van was saying here too is it makes sense. She says she's happy to be alive because again she's Kenny from South Park. I'm not even joking about that, but she's been in the face of death so many times throughout this show. It makes sense that she would feel this way and everything like that. And I feel like this is a good contrast because she doesn't really feel this way in the present. So I do kind of like that she feels this way in the past.
Well, kind of thing. I like that Van comes off kind of villainous here. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think she's lying here. I think she's being truthful.
Yes.
So again, it's and Travis just keeps telling her stop. And she just kind of keeps prodding him, and again, trying to make him, make him go down to their level, kind of thing. Where he's horrified by this.
Yeah.
And she's trying to convince him his brother dying is a good thing, that he should eat his brother. He shouldn't be upset about all this horrible stuff that's happening.
I am gonna say though, this turn by Van came completely out of fucking nowhere though. It seemed like this just happened overnight.
If this was well, yeah, it's weird. Natalie said that Travis never bought into this cult stuff, and Van has been all about it since the beginning. So it would have been nice if they kind of had if they kind of had kind of what Natalie and Lottie had. It would have been nice if Travis and Van butted heads often.
No, but they didn't.
Here at his lowest point, and Van was the one to kind of bring him over to the dark side. That would be, but they've never talked before this.
No.
So I really I can't even really say much about it.
And then Van mentions a line where she mentions, "Don't let all that Javi went through out here to be in vain." I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? We didn't see him go through anything.
He fucked off for all he went through. Yeah. So and again, even if he did go through a lot, Van, who the fuck are you? Were you friends with Javi?
Yeah, exactly. So this scene's, I think, I guess, good in context, but everything that just doesn't make sense that Van even said here. So I'm gonna give not really.
Van and Travis did really good jobs with the acting.
Yeah.
Again, setup thing. It is a Van has like never talked to Travis before.
This is a thumbs in the middle. Just
The one to go and convince Travis to like be okay with all this.
yeah, it'd be better if it was like Natalie maybe that had to, because that would.
I don't think so because I don't know. I guess where she's like, hey, listen, you need to eat. Like she cares about Travis and she wants him to like stay alive, not starve to death. So I can kind of see Natalie being the one to like do this.
Yeah.
But again, I'm kind of just like, who else would do it besides Natalie? Because, and this is weird because again, my big criticism is like, I want these characters to interact. So it's kind of like, oh, well, we get a scene with Travis and Natalie. Not Travis and Natalie. Travis and Van. Isn't this what you wanted? And I'm like, well, yeah, but like, you don't start with this.
No, you don't.
You know? Like, have them have a couple little scenes before this, and then have a big scene.
This would be like starting, OVB with, No, this would be like starting, the OVB season 10 with Washington all of a sudden defending the Reds and Blues when there's no context behind that.
All the stuff before that, yeah. Or like Walt and Jesse's relationship. Again, that's a big one. How that changes the ups and downs throughout the show.
Yeah.
If you just got to the season, series finale, where Jesse's holding the gun at Walt. If that was like their only scene together, imagine how fucking different that would be.
Imagine how we would feel about if the first scene of Walt and Skylar's marriage, we all of a sudden just see like they're on the verge of getting divorced, where we don't see any context behind that.
Yeah, exactly. Or when Junior on the phone tells Walt to just die. All the scenes before that where Junior has kind of like defended his dad and has always loved his dad. How that's and Junior is a very minor character on that show. But even that, they did a really good job showing like his relationship with his father and how that fell apart at the end.
Imagine seeing because in the Breaking Bad timeline we see that Saul and Mike don't really like each other that much, but like in Better Call Saul that's the case. Imagine seeing already the turn of happening when Mike and Saul are already not really liking each other, but they're willing to work with each other type of thing. Just imagine that, like.
Yeah, and it's like when I use Walt and Jesse, that might seem a little unfair because that's like now the whole show is about Walt and Jesse. So much time is dedicated to it. So I'm not expecting like a Walt and Jesse level relationship between Travis and Van. But what I am expecting is to have scenes with them interacting. Do they like each other? Do they hate each other? Again, they don't have to be best buddies. It'd be really cool to have them butting heads because Travis is doesn't believe in the cult stuff and Van does. Have them butt heads, and then have this scene where they Van is trying to bring Travis over to the cult.
I mean, Jesse and Gus have that relationship in the beginning, actually, where they don't really like.
Or Gus and Jesse hate each other, and then Gus throughout season 4 is trying to get Jesse on his side. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's Azula and Zuko. That's a really good one. Where they were enemies throughout all of season 2, and at the very end, she gets Zuko to join up with her for their common goal.
Zuko and Katara, when Zuko joins Team Avatar, she doesn't trust him right away. They have a little scene where, she says, if you have a slip-up...
Like, everybody else trusts me, why don't you? And Katara says, I was the first one to trust you.
Yep.
And then you broke trust immediately.
Yeah, imagine if all of a sudden, imagine they didn't shoot that scene where, where Katara trusted him at first, and then all of a sudden, Katara just randomly doesn't trust Zuko for some reason. That'd just be random. It wouldn't be good.
Yeah. So again, I'm, fine scene, good actors. If you watched YellowJackets going in and out of a coma, or you just saw this clip on YouTube with no context, it's a good scene.
Yeah.
Everything before it failed it.
I think this is probably an example of the director was not here since episode 1, so I don't know if the director's writing this.
Right. He lied to the director and said oh yeah, Van and Travis have like a relationship. It's like, oh, cool. Okay, so I'll have a scene where Van kind of convinces Travis to eat his brother.
Yeah.
And it's like, and somebody else was like, do we tell them that they've like never talked before?
It's like one of those practical jokes, like you haven't been back in a while, so we're gonna do like a office joke on you, being like a rib, being like, hey, like Travis and Van actually have a thing, and then the person forgot to mention like that was a joke before that scene was like shot and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Unfortunate. This again, great scene in isolation.
I mean, again, but I know we're using the Avatar and stuff, but like, again, we could use an example from this very show. The Ben and Natalie stuff is very good. Why didn't they just use an example from your own from your own show? Like,
exactly. Oh god. But the next scene, again they've finished cutting up Bobby, and they take his heart, which is intact, and they kind of they all turn to Travis, and they pretty much all watch as they pretty much make Travis be the first one to take a bite out of Hobby. And this is interesting because, again, I think from their perspective, they think it's like respectful, like okay, Travis be the first one to do it, and kind of give the go ahead. But the way I kind of saw it was like they're basically forcing Travis to do this. Like he clearly doesn't want to.
Yeah.
But like they're kind of just all staring at him and like essentially making him eat Hobby before they eat him.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know what's up with Travis. Like he doesn't feel like a person. And like I said before, off camera, maybe I feel different about it because me and you are both older siblings. Like you have a younger sister, I have a younger brother. But like, and to be fair, Travis and Tommy, it's implied they weren't very close before the plane crash. But like, these people do all this crazy bullshit, and Travis just kind of goes along with it. Like they almost fucking slit his throat at the Doom coming, and then he doesn't really seem to react to it after that. He didn't really seem to hold a grudge against it. They were going to kill Natalie here, and they held a gun. They held a gun. They held a knife to his throat
Again.
So and that got Hobby killed. And now they're forcing him to eat his brother, which he clearly doesn't want to do. Like it seems like he's stopping them from doing it, but like not only are they going to eat his brother, they're going to make him do it alongside them.
I feel like it's not just that too. Like, and then Travis will get mad. Like he got mad. I mean, he'll get mad at Natalie for like bullshit. Like
he's getting mad over like petty high school bullshit. He's mad that Natalie lied about the people she slept with.
Yeah.
He's mad at Natalie faking Hobby's death, which again, kind of understandable. But like if he's gonna get mad about that, he should be getting mad about all this other crazy bullshit.
I feel like it's not that he just gets mad. He gets mad until he isn't mad, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, gets over it off camera.
Yeah.
Like, remember, he was going to talk to Natalie. It seemed like he got over her lying to him, and then Jackie played interception. And then again, with the Hobby thing, he was upset about it, and then he kind of just walked over to Natalie and was like, "Hey, I'm sorry." And it's like, "Oh, okay. I guess you forgave her off camera."
Yeah, and I feel like the actor has done like interviews where he mentions that Travis is like a 90s kid. The whole thing he's just supposed to mix up his emotion. You can't really use like the whole 90s, 2000. You can't really use like the eras and like, when you were born as like a.
This whole situation would make me a little upset, like no matter what.
Yes.
Now keep in mind, I get angry pretty easily. I get mad if somebody fucking steals my Oreos or some shit. But like, so it's like, oh, you guys like got my brother killed and then are like forcing me to eat him. To jump ahead a little bit, I'm kind of surprised Travis was the one fucking lighting the house on fire.
Yeah, he really should have been. Or like, honestly, it would have been cool if like, when he saw if he saw Coach Betty or something, he would be like, "Yeah, I'm fucking off. I can't deal with this group anymore," type of thing. That'd be awesome, like type of thing, like.
Alongside Betty, he's like, "No, I'm done with this shit." especially because again, Natalie said he didn't buy into this cult shit, and he seems pretty on board with it.
That also makes his suicide really dumb because like he committed suicide basically because he like felt like the wilderness was like back, like type of thing. But yeah, here like he's not getting mad over shit like this and all that type of stuff. And then again, you don't really
saying the wilderness chose Javi. If I were Travis, I'd be like, oh, so you think the wilderness killed my brother? Fuck the wilderness.
Yeah.
Again, it's just like Travis doesn't feel like a person. You know, like it feels like he's just kind of going along with it. And now, you know, you could argue Travis is like scared of everybody. He's like, oh my god, these girls are psychos. You know, like I just kind of have to do what I have to do to stay alive. But I don't really get that vibe. You know, they haven't done a good job establishing if like Travis is like afraid of these people. They haven't done a good job saying that. It just seems like he's going along with it.
I mean, don't forget too, like when Travis even saw Javi to begin with, when he was bad back, he just treated him like he was a freaking normal guy, like just a random dude he saw off the streets or whatever. Like, hey, what's up, Javi? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, they did a really good job with Travis like sobbing when he sees Javi, and he's like cradling him for presumably hours.
And I think I said this. If anything, I would like this scene more if Travis was just like, no, like fuck all this bullshit. I'm not gonna eat my brother. You guys are the ones that got him killed, and this is just bullshit. Type of thing, you know.
Yeah. So
yeah,
seems to go along with it.
So Natalie clearly was talking out of her ass when she said Travis never.
Everybody, and he was kind of doing this out of fear. But like, I don't really get that vibe. Like he takes a bite and he's like crying a little bit. Then he puts the rest of it on the pan in the fire, and he says, "Goodbye, Javi." Like it seems like he's going along with it. Like he's sad about it, but he seems like he's not doing it out of fear. He just seems to be doing it, like because he is. You know, he doesn't starve to death.
Yeah, we don't get anything on this. Yeah, this is really dumb.
So you know, after Travis takes a bite, everybody else begins to eat. And then afterwards, Lottie comes down. Well, she eats a little bit too, and then she comes down. And story time begins. Everybody's huddled up against the campfire, I guess. And they're like, hey, Van, tell us a story. Because I guess Van's the storyteller now, I guess. I don't know.
That's why it's called storytelling, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know why that was the name of the episode.
I would have called it like, I don't know, not this.
Yeah. And, yep. So, it would be like, remember the Fly episode in Breaking Bad? If instead of Fly, they called it like Ebola, because remember Jesse like thought the contamination was Ebola.
Yeah.
Very minor thing in the episode. It's like if they called it Ebola instead of the Fly.
Yeah, the storytelling thing really, I guess because the storytelling thing leads to, you know, you literally...
Or if they call Sosin's Comet, like, I don't know, June, because June was in it for like 2 minutes.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. In case you couldn't tell, we're not going to give this a great letter grade.
Might be worse than well, we haven't even talked. By the way, we haven't even gotten to the present. That's a fucking mess as it is. So
yeah, it's funny. I didn't think I was going to talk this long about the past. Yeah.
Should we mention this too? The past really isn't much. A lot of this episodes, like, you know, taken up by the present. The past is just the fallout of Harvey stuff.
Talk about it for like an hour. More.
Yeah, more.
Is it really? How much?
Oh, I forgot though. We talked probably an hour then. Yeah, because this video is an hour 13 right now.
Van, you know, everyone's making Van pick a story to tell, and I like how one of them chooses.
There was a scene you're forgetting with there was a scene with Misty and Lottie where this is kind of when Lottie starts to question like if she even knows like if she can hear the wilderness or not anymore type of thing. So.
Okay, I guess I don't remember that scene because after, you know, because Van's going to tell the story and then Lottie's going to say what she says about the not hearing the voice.
Well, to make sure I better make sure I say it because it Lottie's decision to not be the leader anymore. Like this was like that scene was like the start of it, which is like I don't know if I can hear it anymore, and I feel like this is when she starts to question if this is what the wilderness really wants and all that type of stuff.
I don't know. I rewatched this episode today. I don't remember that scene.
It happened.
Okay.
I'm not pulling I'm not picking a joke like with the new director and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. I guess it didn't stand out to me that much. But yeah, Van starts to begin to tell a story about the wilderness, saying how it's using the wilderness as like an analogy, how saying like at first people were scared of it and thought it was cruel, but maybe it was just misunderstood and they provided.
What I liked about this is in the trailer, and you think it's going to be like a comedic scene kind of like in the trailer, but like it's sadistic. That we've seen it like at the end of the season, and it's more sadistic like here. And I think you know.
And then but Lottie kind of sits down and interrupts the story and says that basically like she thought she was chosen by the wilderness like for a reason. Like that, it was speaking to her because she was the best choice, but she can't hear the voice anymore, and she thinks that maybe the wilderness just spoke to her at first because she was the only one who could hear it, but now that everybody else believes in the wilderness, that it doesn't need her anymore, and that she's not the best choice to be the leader of the group, and that this whole thing with Javi has made her realize that they were gonna kill Natalie, but instead it chose Javi, basically saying that like they were gonna have Natalie die, but the wilderness protected her. Like it wasn't gonna let her die. So she is the best choice to lead us now. And I do like this because I was gonna say Natalie and Lottie didn't like each other before, but it seemed like Lottie was fine with Natalie. Because remember, Mari was kind of the one who was like volunteering Lottie to like go against Natalie and Lottie was kind of just going along with it.
Yeah.
So it seems like, I'm kind of okay. It seems like Lottie's never had an issue with that.
Right. What I did like about this, Lottie mentions there's going to be like a new leader. Misty stands up thinking she's going to get chosen, and then that wasn't the case. So I want to know if they're going to do something with that next season.
Yeah, I think it was meant to be comedic, the way it was shot.
I don't know. I think Misty wanted, Misty was feeling like she was going to be the leader there. So I'm wondering if they're, because Misty...
But I'm just saying, I think the joke is that nobody really likes Misty, and Misty thinks she's going to be the leader.
Oh, that's true. So...
Yeah. But again, like I said, because of this, Lottie stepping down as the leader, if they were ever going to do anything with kind of Misty, convincing Lottie to buy into how she wants to do things. They can't really do that now.
Oh, yeah, that was a big missed opportunity.
Yeah. Because, again, like you said, even though it was kind of shot comedically, like if, Misty wanting to be the leader, it's like, oh, that's interesting that Misty wants to take charge.
Yep.
Well, it's like, Natalie's the one in charge. They can't do that.
Yep.
Although, remember the cold open for episode 1 of season 1, the person wearing the antler thing is revealed to be Misty. So maybe Misty does become leader later on.
I wouldn't think too much on that because, like, none of the actual actresses were like there or anything like that. So I don't. Yeah.
That shot, like, it wasn't like they were all wearing the antler thing. It seemed like Misty was like at the center of the circle, and she was the only one wearing the antler thing. So, again, makes me curious. Like, okay, maybe they like change leaders after a while.
Right.
Because I'm like, why would Misty be the one wearing that?
Yeah, I'll be interested. Maybe Misty takes the job too, by force or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, they didn't have all the actresses, but they had Natalie's actress.
No, but I'm saying like none of them were actually like there at all. Is what I'm saying. So.
Oh yeah, for that scene. But I'm just saying, like, if they were gonna like foreshadow like somebody being like the leader of the they chose Misty at that point.
I mean, also don't forget too, they didn't come up with a name with the Antler Queen. The fans came up with that themselves. So when they shot that,
what I'm making is like Misty was the only one wearing that specific the antler thing.
yeah. So maybe something will be done with that.
I don't know, on the Antler Queen. It's weird that like they made Misty like being the only one wearing that, and she was like in the center of the circle.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what happens with that.
Yeah, like you said, they could do nothing with it, but it'd be really weird if they just left it at that. Like, oh, why was Misty the one wearing the antler shit? I don't know.
We'll see.
Like, oh, yeah. And Natalie seems pretty happy with it. Everybody kind of walks up to Natalie and kind of pledges their allegiance to her. I think Van is the one who like kind of no, Misty does like a dramatic like bow.
Yeah.
And Natalie kind of laughs at it, like she seems like like she's kind of like and she's like tearing up, like she seems really happy that everybody's like chosen her as leader. So Natalie kind of comes off as like broken a little bit, like she's like again truly one of the group now, because at this point we see Ben outside and he's kind of peering in, and Natalie being so happy, like tearing up that everybody's chosen her. Again, it kind of gives the vibe that like, oh no, yeah, we've lost Natalie. She's kind of fully bought into the cult stuff.
Ben's a champ. Like I don't think we would have fully thought that if Ben wasn't out there because of how heartbroken he was and everything like that. Yeah, this is a big jump, for Natalie and everything like that. So this is interesting that.
Sorry, go ahead.
This is interesting. It seems like a bit of a jump, because legitimately, like last episode, she wasn't really bought in, and now all of a sudden she is. I guess so.
I guess Javi's death is the cause of this. Again, if she was closer to Javi, I would care more, or I would buy it more.
Yeah. I do also. I do also question if they changed the leaders a little bit, because of the fans figured out that Lottie was probably the Antler Queen, so they want to do this, to twist everyone and make it think that she's not going to be the Antler Queen type of thing.
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, it'd be interesting if they kind of changed leaders a few times.
Yeah.
It's like the Antler, one specific person.
That'd be fine. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah. Like, again, it was Lottie and Natalie, and then maybe Misty takes over at some point.
I'm interested to see what, like, a Natalie-led cult is going to look like.
Yeah. And Mari also like kind of gives her allegiance, which is interesting. Because again, Mari, being the fucking cunt she is, like was giving Natalie shit, even though Natalie was like the only person actually doing anything.
Yep. But I wondered, are they buying into Natalie, or are they, because Lottie gave the okay? Are they just
only doing this because Lottie gave the okay?
Yeah.
Hat Girl gave her allegiance. It's like, oh yeah, you were sitting at the table with Crystal in episode 1, and then you're here now. Listen, her actress must be fucking happy. She showed up for the easiest paycheck on the planet.
Probably, yeah. And she didn't get a name, I don't think.
Like, she doesn't have a name. She talked like twice. It's like, damn, why do you even have her?
Yeah, and she rehearsed for this role and everything like that too. So it's like, wow. Anyone?
10 minutes.
Huh?
Easy rehearsal. Probably took her 10 minutes.
She's probably just like, do you wear a hat? Yes. Okay, you're in.
Yeah. I like the way you say that. Like the auditions where like the condition was you have to wear a hat.
Do you look good in a hat too? That's probably what it is too. Do you look good in a hat?
It has to be flipped backwards.
That's right.
This girl only had flip backwards.
And
I do like Travis. He doesn't just like bow to her. He like takes her hand and like places it against his chest.
Right. So I'm wondering too if he'll be the Antler Kid. I'm actually not saying it's a joke. I'm actually he'll be like, huh?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Because again, at this point, I don't really like Travis. Again, I just don't buy him as a person. So if they could turn it around, I'd be cool with that.
I mean, the 2 seasons. I don't think they haven't turned it around in 2 seasons. You know what sucks too? We're stuck with Travis.
Least favorite character season 1, and now I really like Sean. So.
That's true. But you know what sucks? If they don't turn it around with Travis, you're stuck with them the rest of the show, most likely too.
He really died for like the present day. Yeah.
So.
But yeah, like I said, Ben was looking into the window, and we see that he had a bunch of wood next to him, and he was trying to light a match. So, and then the next scene, it's later in the night, presumably.
Right.
We see Shauna's writing her journal, and we don't get like a voiceover. We don't like see everything she's writing. We just see like bits of it. She was writing that it should have been me that was picked.
Mm-hmm.
Basically saying like she doesn't know why she wasn't the will that chose to be sacrificed, because she always thought that it was Jackie that made her invisible before, but now she's not sure. Basically saying that like which I can buy that again the reason she was sleeping with Jeff was she wanted to be Jackie, like she was jealous of her.
Yeah,
she basically blamed all of her issues on Jackie, but now Jackie's dead, and she still is having problems, So basically, Jack's not even here to like blame all of her shit on it.
Yeah, this was interesting, and I also like this because obviously this was irony because she gets it in the present, and then I think what's gonna be cool too is anytime you see Shauna writing her journal in the past, Jeff's gonna read this in the present.
Yes. What did Jeff feel like when he got to this?
Yeah. I wish they did this more, where we saw Shauna writing in her journal a little bit more each time.
Yeah, we got Jeff's POV.
Or we just see it, and then, it doesn't have to be the end of every episode, but, it's just a thing, we see that she's writing in the journal, and, and that could be us thinking, that could be a way to tie it into the present where we think Jeff's going to read this in the future type of thing. So.
Yeah, that is a really good point that I wish we got more of, we got to see Jeff's reaction to these entries.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then, but Shauna smells something and realizes that the cabin is on fire.
Yep.
And everyone's sleeping. So basically, whoever lit the fire, again, Ben, which is just hoping to just take them all out in their sleep. But they all wake up and they try to get the door open. But again, it's presumably blocked from the outside. So again, big brain Ben, if you're gonna kill everybody, make sure you lock the door so they can't get out.
He tried to.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about this with Ben because they did a pretty good job establishing after they ate Jackie that he's been just terrified of that. He thinks that okay, I'm gonna be next essentially. And so I can see him being okay, I gotta to save myself. And like you said earlier, Natalie was the only one he had hope for. He thought everybody else was monsters. So I can see him, trying to kill them all to save himself.
Yeah.
But I don't know. A big thing is he's the reason he hates them all is he has such he's a moral person. Like Natalie says, he's a good person. He's not like everybody. So for him to, be I hate you all for eating people. I'm gonna burn you all alive. It's strange.
I feel too, I was saying this thinking he's trying to survive too, because if he gets hunted he won't survive, but I'm also thinking no one really knows where he is, so it's kind of weird.
It is. And nobody has even mentioned that he's gone missing.
Yeah.
So if it were more of an act, if everybody was hunting Ben and Ben was okay, they are hunting me, I gotta take them out before they get me.
Yep.
That'd be one thing. Or not even if they were hunting him, if they were looking for where Javi went. And they were okay, they're not looking for me, but they're looking for where Javi went. So if they do find Javi's hiding spot, they're going to find me. Then I have nowhere to hide.
Yeah, because that's the thing. If Ben just stays there, they'll never find him for the most part.
Yeah, they'll never find him. I guess you could argue, Because doesn't he find out about the tree stump from like Van or something?
Thaisa.
So like, I guess you could argue Thaisa could like be like, oh, he was asking about the tree stump. Maybe that's where he went. But like, that's kind of a leap.
Very much so. Plus, too, Thaisa.
I can buy that Ben would do this, but like, I'm also kind of like, would he?
Also, Thaisa subconsciously more so knows what this is. I don't think she would be able to find it.
That is a thing. Like, he would worry, like, oh, Thaisa sleepwalking could like find me.
Yep.
But again, to jump to, I'm gonna light the entire cabin on fire. It's like,
yeah, like if it was just gonna take out Thaisa, that would make more sense. But that's not the case.
yeah.
This was more so like they wanted to end the season off with a big cliffhanger because this was the last thing we saw all season. So this is what they wanted to do.
Yeah. But yeah, the cabin burns down. Everybody's able to bust the door open and get outside. But you know, it's too late for the cabin. They're all just watching horrified as their only shelter burns down. And I do like this. You know, all season it's been a very hopeless situation.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that feeling of like, oh, we nothing. But then you realize like you had something that you took for granted, and now it's like you truly have nothing, or you have less than nothing at this point. Like the only thing you had was like a roof over your head. You know, you don't even have that.
This is really good too because now they have to survive the winter without the cabin.
It was like he was like, me and Natalie can go to the cave and we can like survive the winter.
Yeah.
Like, well, what's everybody else going to do? They, you know, that's why I'm really hoping season 3 don't jump to spring. Have it still be winter because it's like, how the fuck is everybody going to survive the rest of the winter? They have no shelter.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job of that because Harvey and
like
that.
Harvey's remains left, like that probably got burnt up. So like, you know, it's like even if they had any food left from Harvey, that probably got burnt up. Now they don't have any food either.
Yeah. But yeah, what I like about this too is they've done a good job because Jackie and Harvey both died outside in the winter, and now everyone's fucked pretty much and everything like that.
And overnight, you know, it's like Jesus.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess the ending was of the past was good, you know. So, and I like the stuff with Ben. That was good, you know, and. Again, and stuff in isolation was good. It just, the setup to it was not good, so.
Fine, well acted. Unfortunately, I can't bring myself to really like them because the setup for them was really poor.
Yeah.
Again, I don't give a shit about me. I don't really like Travis. Dan and Travis never fucking have talked, so I didn't care that much about that scene. Travis' reactions are kind of unbelievable because of what's happening. Lottie stepping down as leader was pretty cool and handing it off to Natalie. But again, Natalie going from not buying into the cult shit last episode to being cool with being the leader. I would buy it more if her and Javi had a friendship and like she's really broken up over his death. A big thing is with Natalie in the present, she ends up hallucinating Javi at a pretty big moment.
Yeah.
And again, if they were like had a big bond, that'd be really emotional. But they don't.
I feel like Natalie taking over as leader would be better too. It's not necessarily she buying in, but because she's not buying in, she uses this to kind of get everyone
chance to like turn it around. Yeah.
Yeah. If I had to give the pass, like, you know, not really a grade, but like a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a thumbs in the middle, it's probably like a thumbs like down, but not fully, but like thumbs in the middle going down.
It's like kind of sideways, but it thumbs down. It didn't do the thumbs up one minute earlier.
Maybe it's a thumbs down now, according to Discord. So
Discord is chosen, and it's a thumbs down. It's like the wilderness. It's like Discord is chosen.
What if the wilderness is Discord? That'd be awesome.
I would love. Yeah, I thought Discord wasn't even a thing in 1996.
Hey, you don't know that, you know?
Yeah, true. I wasn't alive then. You were, so I guess I have to take your word for it. But yeah, I have rambled enough. I have talked for well over an hour at this point. It is time to move on to the present, Owen.
Yeah, I said I was taking the present, and the past was a thin. The present's even more of a thin. So,
Yep.
Choices
were made.
Not good ones. So yeah, it picks up immediately right after the present ended, where you're wondering who's going to drink that poison and all that type of stuff, and you know, everyone's kind of perplexed. They're like, wait, you want us to actually like do this? And Lottie says it's the only way we can know what the wilderness wants. And Lottie's about to take a sip, and you know, Sean is able to comment.
We complained. Remember, Lottie volunteered to go last, and we're like, wait a minute, it doesn't make any sense, because if you go last, then the people before you would get poisoned. And here they meant to say that she'll go first.
Yep. About one of those things they had to get the episode like filmed, and we're like, shit, we don't have time to reshoot that. So, but then, yeah, Lottie's about to take a sip, and Sean is like, okay, like, no, Sean is like, you're right, like, I've been feeling something, I felt like something's been pushing me towards this direction. And obviously the rest of the cast is just like, okay, like, what the hell are you talking about, Shauna? So Lottie's like kind of relieved that like someone else has felt this way. So her and Shauna hug, and Shauna kind of gives this look on his face like she's bullshitting and everything like that. And Shauna comes up with the idea that if we're going to do this, we're going to do it the way we normally do it. We're going to have a hunt. And, we can get some codes, just tell everybody, make sure they're not here for this. And Lottie thinks this makes sense, so she leaves the, like, sharing section. And obviously everybody else is just like, what the hell, Shauna? Like, why are you, like, giving into a bullshit? This seemed like a leap. All of a sudden, Natalie is back to, like, yeah, but Lottie's clearly sick when, like, for, like, 2 episodes in a row, pretty much, she's, like, been buying into, like, Lottie's bullshit. And that hasn't been the case this time around. But whatever. Shauna actually is like, hey, I just bought us some time. This kind of reminded me of that RVB scene where, like, Griffin Simmons were about to get, like, shot, and, like, Griff,
you got to get the rule book, and they're like, look, you want to die now or die 5 minutes from now as a nerd with me?
And that almost didn't work instantly. So, yeah, Shauna says, like, hey, I just bought us some time because now we can figure out, like, what to do about it type of thing. And everyone kind of realizes, like, Lottie is mentally unstable. And I like that everyone's kind of like, yeah, Van's kind of the only one kind of vouching for Lottie a little bit, being like, yeah, but none of us are really stable after what we went through on there. And Natalie's kind of, you can tell Natalie's bullshitting, but she's like, yeah, but we've gotten over it. She thinks, like, the woods are talking to her and everything like that. And don't forget, too, like, Lottie's also been drinking very heavily, because this is presumably, like, the same night of episode 7. Lottie's been drinking pretty heavily at the same time, too, so that's probably not helping with the mix of alcohol and everything like that.
They made some interesting decisions this episode.
Well, there were interesting decisions. We'll see if they're good decisions, which I'll get to. So... Misty realizes, like, we could easily have her committed, because I'm a medical professional, and I can, like, make some calls and I can get her committed. So everyone kind of, like, is going to, like, use this to kind of, like, call the authorities and get, well, not the authorities, but, like, the medical, the asylum, pretty much, and get Lottie committed. They did throw a line in here where Natalie mentions, do you remember the last time, like, Lottie was listening to the wilderness? And obviously I think we were meant to think it was about Harvey, but then we find out I don't think that was the case, because then obviously that led to Natalie being later on and everything like that. So
no, because it'd be weird if that was like if Lottie never hears from the wilderness again. Because, again, they're going to be out there for presumably, like, another year. And Yeah, so it'd be weird if Lottie never hears from the Lucas again for the rest of the show.
We'll see.
This because last episode Natalie was like, buying super into Lottie's cult stuff, and now she's kind of back to being like, no, Lottie's crazy.
You do or don't like it?
I do like it. Well, again, I didn't like that Natalie was like buying into it so quickly.
Right.
So now again, it's weird that she's back to how she was before, but I like how she was before more. So it's kind of like, well, I don't like this either, but like I liked it better than the other thing.
That's fair. And then doing all of this, Misty goes into Lottie's office. And I think this proves that Lottie planned on Natalie breaking in, because obviously Misty had to break into the the door to get into their phones and everything like that. So that was a thing that.
Is it like the easiest place to break into, like on the planet?
Yes, it is. So if Lottie, if Lottie's got a bunch of money and stuff like that stashed in there, AJ, I think you and I need to plan a heist at some point.
Hell yeah.
And we technically would be breaking the law because,
Well, I mean, it seems to be pretty easy. Just walk in, take the money, walk out.
Yeah. It isn't technically stealing because I think Lottie would be okay with it. So.
It's like, imagine Lottie trying to call the cops on us. It's like, oh, the crazy cult leader is trying to say something about us. Oh, fucking Jesus.
Yeah. And don't forget, we could leave whatever we want too. So we can leave Witcher. But doing this, somebody else comes in, and Misty hides, thinking that it's one of the cult members and all that type of stuff. And this person, Misty's phone rings, and we find out that it's Elijah Wood, Walter Tattersall. It seems a bit random that he just happens to go in the office at the same time Misty did. That was kind of a little bit of a coincidence. But whatever. And we find out that Walter's there to help her. And obviously cuts away because we're not meant to know what that means yet. So this is I was just trying to talk about what Walter... I said Walter White, but that's not the same guy. He's too good for this. But...
Elijah Wood, it's hot off the set of Lord of the Rings.
Yep. And OVB.
Sorry, I wasn't answering your calls last time. I was, doing my voice lines for Red vs. Blue.
Yep.
We never find he wasn't picking up.
No, we never did. So, so doing all this, Jeff and Callie are driving somewhere, and Jeff's thinking, if they go into hiding, it's not going to be easy as they think. We wouldn't be able to go over ourselves. We wouldn't be able to go to our favorite takeout. We would have to completely start over. And Callie's like, well, yeah, what? Are we just going to let Mom go to jail? And Jeff kind of mentions to Callie that Shauna tried to kill somebody with a gun and everything like that. And Callie's like, wait, does Mom have a gun? He's like, no, she doesn't currently have a gun. And then he stops. And obviously I like this because obviously, if you remember, Thaisa and Van were very vague on where the hell Shauna was going because everyone speaks in riddles. This is why you don't... This isn't the main reason you don't speak in riddles, but this is a reason you don't speak in riddles.
Yeah, Jeff is pretty bad at speaking in riddles, though, because he's like, when he mentions the gun, he's like, oh, no, your mom doesn't have it, I took it. And then Callie's like, oh, so you have a gun. And Jeff's like, oh,
And then
so Jeff's he doesn't speak in riddles.
Yep. Which I like. Oh, and Ben. Ben doesn't speak in riddles.
Ben is, Ben, the fucking giga chat he is. Very straightforward.
Yeah.
He's straight. Well, it's funny I say Ben is very straightforward. He's gay.
Yeah. So then, but they imply that the gun is in the glove box because Callie goes to open it, and Jeff's like, don't open that. So that's where the gun was. But yeah, they realize that the sanctuary wasn't what they thought because they see some of Lottie's cult members walk out, and obviously they're creeped out by it, thinking that this is villainous because that's what we thought when we saw the show, but that's not the fucking case because it's just not. That's what we wanted, but we didn't get that.
The old guy in the first episode, we never really came back to him.
Huh?
Remember they were burying that old guy in, like, the first or second episode?
Yeah, nothing came of that.
Yeah. Back to that, I just realized.
No. So they drive to see if they can find another way in, and we see that Kevin and Mr. Mustache Man has been trailing them. And they originally thought they drove away because they saw them, but like and Kevin was like, yeah, I don't think that's the case. And I like Mr. Mustache. He's like, hey, this place looks fun because Shauna's already a suspect, and now she's going to like a cult like place. This isn't really doing any brownie points for Shauna when it comes to the murder of Adam. If she's part of a cult and all that type of stuff. So doing this. Kevin arrives into the kitchen, and I like that some time passed because obviously it was daytime when this scene was filmed, but then it's nighttime when Kevin actually like gets into the cult and everything like that. So that was good. And then we see that Elijah Wood is making some food, and he's pretending to be a member of the cult because he's wearing that same purple attire that he grabbed at the end of episode 8.
If you remember last episode, we saw him pull out like a purple jacket out of his closet.
I remember you were very sarcastic, like, well, that totally changes everything. Kind of did.
Point, but yeah, there was a reason why he did.
Yeah.
Put foot in mouth.
Yep. Walter, I like that he's acting like a crazy person, like someone that would be in this cult and everything like that.
Like that, again, his intentions aren't clear yet. Because remember last episode, he was emailing the police. So when he sees Kevin, he's like acting super happy to see him. And he's like, I have some information on the investigation that you're going to see. So we're still thinking like, is he like trying to help the police here?
I don't know if he did email them because the reason I say that is because they weren't going to the cult to talk to him. They were going to the cult because they were following Kevin and...
Yeah, this was up the email that Elijah Wood sent. So, I don't... Well, but Elijah Wood's going to say in a little bit that he forged, like, some stuff.
Right.
To, like, frame Kevin. So maybe that's what the email was about.
Yeah, so that's true. So but that's what I'm saying. I was just saying I don't think he emailed... Because then originally when... I'm like, okay, that makes sense because that's why they were there, but they weren't there because of the email. They were there because they were following
Shauna.
Yeah, but
Wait, Elijah Wood probably didn't know they were coming, so it's kind of weird that he like planned this when he, again, as far as he knew. Because why would Elijah Wood know the police are tailing Jeff and Cal?
Yeah, they didn't really make that clear. So, you know what? I'm not gonna act on that too much because we got the best Elijah Wood scene in the YellowJackets. So, they fucking woke up this episode and decided like, hey, we have Elijah Wood. We better make some use out of him.
Yeah.
They didn't take notes of RVB when they're like, we have Elijah Wood. Let's make some use out of him right away. No, they were like, yeah, let's wait till the last episode of the whole season.
Oh fuck! We have Elijah Wood. We gotta use him. We gotta make him important.
Well, remember the director? This director hasn't been around since like episode 1. I like to think this director was just like, wait, we have
wait a minute. You guys have Elijah Wood. You guys haven't been using him.
Let me take the reins on this.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so we don't really hear what they're talking about. They're kind of we hear the beginning part of the conversation where they mention the Shauna case and things like that. And then Jeff and Callie arrive. This did seem a little bit of a coincidence that Jeff and Callie happen to go here, like right when Kevin gets here. That was kind of a coincidence. But
not when Kevin, when Elijah Wood gets here.
I'd say both because this is a big complex.
When Kevin gets to the kitchen, I guess. Well, because, obviously Kevin got there at the same time as them because they were following Jeff.
Yeah, but it's night. Again, it's nighttime when they get here.
They get to the kitchen at the same point, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was talking. That's what I meant. That
Elijah Wood gets here same day as Jeff and Kevin.
Yeah, that's a coincidence too. Yeah, so Callie's kind of giving Jeff shit, being like, you're really giving Mom a lot of shit, but it's kind of your fault we're in this mess to begin with, which kind of seemed out of character because Jeff has been pretty supportive of her, like the whole show.
I was giving Jeff shit. He's been doing, like you said, it's like weird.
Yeah, that didn't really need to happen. So
Callie was just being kind of like a smart ass, like she wasn't not cheap playing.
But it just seemed very weird. So still,
yeah. Well, especially because Shauna keeps making comments that like Jeff can do no wrong in Callie's eyes.
Yeah. Jeff sees that Kevin has followed them and everything like that. So Jeff tells Callie to go find Shauna, and he's gonna take care of this situation. And Jeff goes in, and during all of this, we hear them mentioning Jessica Roberts, the reporter from the last season. And I do like that because obviously that ends up becoming a part of Walter's plan. And Jeff comes in, and he tells Kevin that he says the BS story that he was going to say at the end of season 1, where he killed Adam Mountain out of an act of passion because he found out his wife was cheating on him, and he couldn't tell Shauna, and you could clearly
was like, oh Jesus, Jeff. Like I think he kind of knew Jeff was bullshitting, but he's still kind of like, Jeff, don't do this, please.
Before really anything can happen from this, because I forgot to mention this, Walter gave Kevin something to drink, like coffee or something, and
funny he's called Walter. He stuck some ricin in there.
Yeah, and I never noticed this.
Ooh, that would be the ricin I gave you. I stuck it into that stevia crap you're always putting in your tea.
That'd be awesome.
Well,
I mean that's kind of what happened, but I like that that if you don't really notice this on a first watch, but you notice that the cups are different, and Kevin hands him the green cups type of thing. So So Kevin faints, and obviously Jeff is like perplexed because obviously he was just ready to turn himself in, and all of a sudden like Kevin just like fell all of a sudden, all that type of stuff, and then he's like checking.
You say he faints, he dies. So like they were not clear on that, but I guess on the second watch, Jeff like checks his pulse and he's like starts freaking out, and then Walter says like, help me move the body. So like presumably Kevin just died.
Yeah. So Kevin dies. Elijah Wood and Jeff talk for the first time, and Elijah Wood kind of mentions like, hey, like I planned this. He mentions that I think it's the same poison that Misty used on Jessica Roberts, because he didn't even know about the poison. He said, oh, that's surprisingly fast type of thing. And this I didn't like. This was bad. Well, it wasn't all bad. Like I liked Elijah Wood. I thought he played his character well. I liked Jeff trying to like turn himself in.
Him up. Like again, Elijah Wood and Jeff have like had no scenes together. They're meeting for the first time. Like I love their little like interaction here, where he's like, "Hey, Jeffrey, can I call you Jeffrey?" Or like, "Does anybody call you Jeffrey?" And Jeff is like so like upset about what's happening. He's like, "My mom, I guess."
I do but this was a pretty, Kevin was kind of a character that had been around for a couple seasons. They actually did some good stuff, like building his character too, even though he's just a secondary character. And like his death is really just like treated like not really that big of a deal. Like they're making comedy jokes after his death, as we're going to talk about later. There's more comedy that happens from this, and then there's a big character that dies later that that it would be awesome if Kevin was around for it, because Kevin and this person had like a big scene last time, and then when they separated, like they were here at the same time, and you got nothing from it. So and
it's weird. It's been like the big present day plot, besides like the cult stuff, I guess. Even this has had like the same amount of screen time, I'd say. And like, this has been the main thing Jeff and Shauna have been dealing with, and neither of them really resolving it. It's like Elijah Wood, who's been involved with Misty's plot, kind of just jumped over to their plot and solved the problem for them.
Yeah.
Happen. At the very end of the episode, Jeff kind of just walks up to her and is like, "Hey, the police are taken care of. You don't have to worry about it anymore."
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay. It would have been nice if Shauna could like be the one to resolve her own plot, but I guess not.
I mean, Jeff makes sense to be there because he started that plot to begin with, but yeah.
Just got roped into this. Like, he didn't really wasn't that involved with this.
Yeah. But
he, like, helped Elijah Wood move the body. That's kind of it. Elijah Wood did the rest.
Yeah. And I feel like this also just doesn't help, if because Elijah Wood was meant to be like this mysterious character, so and then we find out here he's been wanting to help Misty all along, and then you wonder like what the fuck was he doing off screen like the past couple of episodes and everything like that? Was he just living his life? Like, in a weird way, the reveal of Elijah Wood wanting to help Misty all along made him just kind of feel like some dude before Misty met him and everything like that.
Yeah. Now those intentions are clear that he's pretty much just in love with Misty and wanted to help her out. It's like, oh, he feels like a plot device.
And, again, that's
funny. He's smart enough to pick up on the Adam stuff from Misty. He drives her to the cult, and he just knows how to frame a detective for murder. It's like, oh, he feels like a plot device. He doesn't feel like a character. It feels like the writers wanted to have a certain thing. It's like, oh, shit, what do we do? I don't know, let's like invent a boyfriend for Misty who just does all this shit. It's like, oh, okay.
Again, I hate to say this too, if her boyfriend wasn't Elijah Wood, he wouldn't have probably lasted this long either.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wood saving grace, essentially.
You know what the funny thing is? How different of remember I said Elijah Wood's in both ends. How much of he's causing the plot of season 6 the way in OVB, and here he's a plot device.
Exactly. Such a night. I mean, when we get to the comparison video, that's gonna be fun to talk about.
Yep. So then, later in the woods, Callie is just walking around. She meets up with Mr. Mustache, and Callie's surprised to see him. And then obviously faking it, I think, because obviously I would think if, Callie would probably put two to two together if Kevin was here, Mr. Mustache would also be here, so.
And by the way, I think you forgot to mention Callie swiped the gun.
Oh, that wasn't revealed yet. Let's get into that, so.
She pulled it out, Mustache showed up, and then she put it behind her back.
Yeah. And you have some. How the hell did she get the gun? Because obviously her and Jeff were together the whole time. How did she get in the gun? Again, we didn't see that because they got here together off screen. So how the hell did she get this gun?
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah. So
right.
that was kind of shitty. But whatever. Mr. Mustache gets a phone call from Kevin, and we find out that it really isn't Kevin. It's just, he's just saying a bunch of shit that him and Elijah Wood had in conversation, and it sounds like.
Says, what the hell are you doing here? Because he said to Jeff when Jeff walked in, so Elijah Wood recorded it. So, Mr. Mustache picks up, and Kevin just repeats 3 times, "What the hell are you doing here?"
I guess Mr. Mustache doesn't know it recorded when he hears it, I guess, so.
Right, well, very obviously, a shitty, staticky recording. And again, this is the only thing Elijah Wood has recorded. So he just repeats it 3 times, and Mr. Mustache just, walks away.
Yeah.
So, my first assumption wouldn't be, partner's been murdered, and now they're having voice recording of it. But I would be I don't know why I did a thumbs up for that.
Okay.
Thumbs up. Discord. This was down.
Discord is spoken, though, AJ. Discord is spoken.
This comes off as a Three Stooges routine. Mr. Mustache has been shown to be incredibly smart and observant. Remember, because he noticed the condom that was filled with shaving cream in the hotel room.
Not even just that, but like he noticed something was off anyways when they left the the motel and everything like that.
I'm shown to be extremely observant. So the fact that he didn't pick up on it's so weird that my partner just keeps repeating the same fucking sentence over and over, and it comes off as a shitty, staticky recording. It's like weird that he didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, this was odd. So yeah, and again, if you did this with anyone else, maybe it would have been okay. But it was this character they chose to do this with, like, you know.
Yeah, it's almost like a comedy routine. It's like these scenes shouldn't be the comedic scenes.
No. So, yeah, Mr. Mustache notices the police, and Elijah Wood even says, he's not sure that that's going to work, but he's panicking. So, I don't mind him panicking either. Like, he keeps trying to, like, call him, but he knows this is bullshit. He's like, okay, what the hell is going on here, type of thing. And Elijah Wood even says, like, I'm not sure if this is going to work. Like, okay, that's what was that? But then, he goes into the police car, he pumps the hood on the trunk, and then Elijah Wood comes over and, like, shoots Kevin in, like, the face, presumably 3 times, throws his phone and stuff in, and basically blackmails him, saying that, you have a choice here. You can either, find out that Kevin all along has just been a corrupt cop, who, you covered up the murders of, Adam and Jessica Roberts, and he was trying to cover it up all this time, or that all that stuff can be blamed onto you. I feel like this is kind of a bit of a stretch. The fact that they're going to do Kevin dirty like this.
Oh, again, one, the fact that the show is gonna, so basically, Mr. Mustache apparently takes this deal. Because basically Elijah Wood is saying, hey, Mr. Mustache, this will make your career that you, like, caught this cop Kevin, and they kind of set this up earlier, I guess, where they were saying, like, the reason Mr. Mustache was, like, going so hard into Cali was that, like, he wanted to, like, make his career. He was, like, young and new to the job.
Yeah.
But again, he's kind of an asshole, but, like, I don't buy that he'd be like, yeah, I'm cool with framing my partner Kevin to, like, boost my career, because he seems to like Kevin.
Yeah,
he's. And I don't know why he would go along with this deal. And Elijah Wood's basically threat of being like, do this or, like, you'll also get framed. It's like, okay, no, I just saw you shoot Kevin. I saw you stuff Kevin into this trunk and just shot him. I'm obviously going to arrest you.
Not even just that, but he mentions all the emails and stuff go to you. Like, as you mentioned, like, that's a quick IP address you could just look up, and that's already not a thing. Like,
oh, who knows this guy? It's like, you mean the guy I'm arresting for shooting Kevin? It's like, yeah. I feel like a lot of this could be pretty easy to just, like, disprove. Very
much so. But whatever.
And I mean, your fingerprints are on the gun.
Yep. No, he was wearing gloves. He was wearing gloves.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Again, even then, I feel like this would be pretty easy, but I feel like you could pin this on Elijah Wood. Like, I wouldn't jump straight to, yeah, he's fucked. He's got nothing to do. Elijah Wood doesn't have him dead to rights. I feel like he can work with this.
Especially, too, this is also a small... Jeff mentioned the town they live in is like a small town. I feel like enough people can vouch for Kevin that he's not, like, a corrupt cop and everything like that. Like, there's not... I feel like I really don't like this either, because Kevin just gets done real
Is there with... I mean, Elijah Wood said something about, Jessica Roberts was, like, a reporter. He gave some bullshit excuse, like, oh, Kevin was, like, on payroll of, like, a political figure and was, like, getting rid of Jessica or something. But, like, what connection does Kevin have to Adam?
Nothing.
So I'm like, why? I get it. I don't... Why this would stick. I feel like this would, again, fairly easy to just brush off. And again, the show treats this as like, oh, problem solved. Good job, guys. Sean is cleared, and they framed Kevin. And it's like, okay, but Kevin wasn't a good guy. Kevin was a good cop, and he like had a girlfriend. It seemed like at the reunion, and he had a little kid. And now that kid's gonna grow up fatherless, and the kid's gonna think his dad was a piece of shit, murdering, dirty cop.
I feel like too.
A solution.
Yeah, I feel like too. Yeah, like you said, they made this not more of a solution than like we should feel bad about Kevin here because weirdly enough they did it. Yeah, like Adam's thing was treated like a big thing. Like you were meant to feel bad about him because he got killed for no reason, but then Shauna had to like blame him for being the blackmailer. Like, wow, you actually feel bad for Adam right there, type of thing.
The worst, morally speaking, this is like the worst thing to happen in the show. Like I feel like more than Javi's death, more than Jackie's death, more than Adam's death, like this death is like morally the most fucked up one, but it's treated as a joke.
Yeah, I feel like it's not. It's treated like a joke because of consequences, and there's jokes in there going on anyways, and everything like that. And again, I feel like what's worse is there was like Mr. Mustache easily didn't even have to do this. Like it wasn't like he was in a no-win situation. Like he clearly could have gotten himself out of this very easily.
No-win situation. Again, he's kind of like an asshole, but like he's shown to be a pretty good cop. Like he wants to catch Shauna, who's a murderer.
Yep.
So like again, I don't buy that he would want to boost his career at the expense of going along with this.
Yeah, so this is unfortunate because like the Adam murder plot was something they built up the last couple of seasons, and it felt like they kind of dropped the ball on getting to the solution and everything like that. So
I don't know why it's treated as like, oh, Sean is the good guy when she did murder Adam for basically no reason.
Yep.
Remember, guys, Adam wasn't a blackmailer. Adam was like a good guy who Sean just kind of fucking murdered for no reason.
Right.
And the show acknowledged how fucked up this was and was like, oh man, Shauna and Jeff are like fucked up, like really, blackmailing a good cop just trying to do his job. But no, again, treated like a comedic thing.
Yep. So this is unfortunate. Thumbs down for the result of this storyline, which is a shame because this was the one storyline YellowJackets got pretty right and everything like that. So, and then we have everything else, which is just it's a thin. So doing all.
Sorry to make the analogy. Last time we said it's like YellowJackets got like 75% through a race and then like tripped at like the 25% left. This is like YellowJackets got like 98%. Like YellowJackets is like 10 feet away from the finish line, and then it just like exploded.
Yep. Oh, I don't know if that's a.
Just fucking blew up for no reason.
Yep. But yeah, so then doing all of this, we have the hype up for the hunt, and that's gonna happen. And Van and Thaisa have a talk where they mention, Van doesn't feel right about having Lottie committed. And Thaisa's just like, look, Lottie's sick. She's going to get help. And Van is like, yeah, but you're also sick too. And like, do you really think Lottie's going to get a good enough help? Just being locked away in an asylum and everything like that. Like, I think we could try ourselves to try to reach her. So then later in the day, Thaisa calls the psych evaluation place and says like, like, hey, we just called about Lottie, but we were able to calm her down, and we're just gonna bring her over there to ourselves. And then I guess they just like, okay, that's fine, and hanged up. I don't.
This is one. Misty was the one who called originally, presumably, because Misty said that she could get Lottie committed because she's a medical professional.
Yep.
So presumably, she was the one who originally called. So when somebody else calls, I'm gonna call bullshit.
Very much so.
I'd be like, oh no, one being like, oh my god, somebody else work, everybody. And then somebody else calls being like, hey, yeah, no, don't worry, that nothing happened there. It's like, okay, we're still sending the police, obviously.
But even then, if they even like said like we're just gonna put him in ourselves. Like I think they're gonna be like, no, we're still gonna come. We're gonna make sure this person's actually like fine.
First, like we're obviously gonna come there, obviously. Like I was saying, well, one, somebody else besides Misty called back, so bullshit automatically.
Yeah.
And then like even if Misty was the one who called back saying like we're gonna bring her ourselves, I would still be like, okay, no, we're still gonna send people for safety.
Yeah.
And then again, I don't know what Misty and Tice's plan was. It's like, okay, cool. Nobody's coming. You still have to go through the hunt, right? Like we're gonna go through the hunt until help comes and take Lottie away. But if nobody's coming, you have to go through the hunt.
Yep.
I don't know what the plan is.
Yeah, I don't really understand this. And then
Because Donna almost dies because of this, and spoilers, somebody else actually dies because of this.
yep. So then Natalie goes to Lisa, Fork Girl, and Natalie tells Lisa to.
I actually didn't know who Lisa was.
Yeah, so that's why I said Fork Girl. So Natalie goes to Lisa and says, tells her to basically leave this place and go have a life. And Natalie says, something's happening tonight, and you just can't be here when it happens. And AJ, like I said, this is why you don't speak in riddles, because you go up and say something like that to somebody, and they're obviously going to be like, what the fuck is going to happen tonight? Like, what is going on?
Everybody, like, don't come to school tomorrow. It's like, okay, so obviously I'm going to call the police. And it's like, okay, so Lottie said she was going to take care of it, make sure nobody interrupted. So if Natalie didn't come here and say this to Fork Girl would not have gotten involved.
Exactly.
I don't know. Again, Owen, this would be like, Owen, I live in Florida, you live in Massachusetts. If you called me and was like, AJ, don't come to Massachusetts tomorrow. Like something big's happening, don't come to Massachusetts. Okay, so obviously I'm going to get on the next plane there because I'm assuming you're going to fucking like do something.
Right. Especially too, because if like, what if, I'm going to go do this big thing and then I remember too, because later on, Natalie's just like, I told you to leave here, but she even confronts her this going on, like, I told you to leave here. Like, well, why didn't you tell her to leave? She would never even showed up. Like, it's just like.
But going about it, God, it's so fucking stupid.
And then
I do like the one Natalie says, like, hey, thank you for, saying all that stuff about self-acceptance and, like, moving on. Like, it's a nice idea. Basically saying that, like, Natalie really loved the idea of kind of moving on, but she thinks it's just an idea.
Yeah, that was good. It's just surrounded by such bullshit. I forgot about it, actually.
Ellie is back to how she was before, so I don't know why she was being all weird for that, like, one episode.
Yep. Actually, a few episodes. So.
It was like half.
Yeah. So then they go through this montage where they make masks, which that's different. They didn't make the masks before. So I'm wondering if there'll be an episode.
Masks in, like, the first, when they did it with Pit Girl.
Yeah.
Which, hopefully is Mari. So I guess this is something that they pick up after a while.
Yeah. And then Natalie's burning the cards. Natalie and Shauna kind of give each other like an uneasy look, which I'm like, why? I mean, I know why, but like you were fine. You didn't. If you have this uneasy look, why was that not brought to your attention last episode? If you were just dumping everything all in, and again, they give each other this uneasy look, and nothing's gonna happen with it ever, as we're gonna find out. So, so then, Shauna, Van, Thaisa, and Misty gather around by the campfire and they wait for Lottie to show up so they could do the hunt. And Shauna asks, Misty, like, hey, when did they say the psych team was coming? And Misty's like, they said, I told him it was urgent. If I was Shauna, I'd be like, well, clearly you didn't say it was that urgent because it's nighttime. We call like during the day. They're not here yet, so.
Yeah, and then, I'm just like, okay, so again, when Van calls, being like, never mind, on the urgent medical call, like, okay, again, no, they're definitely sending somebody.
Yeah. But also, like, I know Lottie walks in, but it seems like Van and Taissa were, like, not even going to tell Shauna and Misty that they called off the psych team. And it's like, why would you not tell Shauna and Taissa this? Like,
what is your plan here? Okay, so Van and Taissa are at the hunt. Shauna, Misty, and Natalie are like, okay, cool. Hopefully the psych team's here soon. We just have to delay Lottie as long as we can. And then Taissa and Van are just standing there being like, yeah, delay Lottie. Until what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, you're going to have to go through the hunt, Van and Taissa.
Right. Well, as
it's kind of seems like Van wants the hunt to happen. I don't know what Taissa's fucking thinking.
Right. Well, to be fair, Taissa didn't know Van wanted the hunt to happen at this point, so I can kind of...
But I'm saying I don't know what Taissa's plan is here. Because she knows the psych team isn't coming. So they're going to have to go through the hunt.
Yeah.
There's no delay. You can't keep Lottie here forever.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, I just don't get, like, why you wouldn't tell Shauna and... Because Shauna and Misty are going to delay the hunt as long as they can, thinking the psych team's coming.
They were like, okay, our plan is to delay it until the psych team comes. Taissa knows the psych team isn't coming. So, again, Taissa, what's your plan? Delay Lottie until you all die of old age? Like, what's the plan here?
Yeah. So, Lottie shows up. They have the hunt. First, they kind of do it the same way, where Lottie shows the burnt up queen card, she shovels the deck, and obviously Shauna's trying to delay this because the psych team hasn't shown up, so she's got to shuffle the cards, and Shauna's trying to like delay this as much as she can, but then Van steps in and says like, okay, Shauna, that's quite enough, and this is kind of where you notice like, okay, so Van clearly wanted this hunt to happen and everything like that. I hope they kind of address this next season, because I'm gonna guess that Van wants
Van's fault.
Huh?
This is Van's fault, so they clearly have to address this.
Yeah. But I hope they do address it because, and I hope they address Van's motivations of why she wanted the hunt to happen type of thing because,
Because, I would be pissed with... Everybody should be pissed at Van. Because, again, if it was, the person who died, like, it could have been any one of them guys.
Yep. They hand over the codes. Van says, I'll start. And then Taissa whispers to Van, like, is this what you wanted to happen? Actually, she didn't do a good job whispering it. Like, everyone kind of... No one really pressed her on this. Like, wait, Taissa, what the hell do you mean by that? But whatever.
Listen, Owen, we should have a fucking counter for this show. Every time somebody, like, isn't like, what do you mean by that? Can you elaborate?
That should have been...
Say it?
Yeah. So, Taissa... No, that's it. Van picks a card, it's not the queen, and every time they pick a card, they throw it into the fire, and I think it's supposed to land in the fire, but they have bad aim, so it doesn't land in the fire.
What's that? I was like, is that on purpose?
I don't think it was, but...
Like of the card, like, falling on the ground, not into the fire.
I like to think it wasn't on purpose. But...
It chose to focus on it anyway.
Yeah. And Taissa's kind of like second guessing, and Lottie mentions like, you know what happens if you refuse the draw, and I'm like, wait, what happened? I mean, we figured out pretty quick. Like, they didn't tell us what happens if you refuse the draw.
The audience has to make the assumption like, okay, if you refuse, you get chosen. But like again, they didn't ever say that because they like you said, it was a deleted scene when they explained the rules.
Yeah. So everyone participates. They start drawing codes. You can kind of see that some of them are starting to go into like a state, especially like more so Taissa and stuff like that.
All of them kind of like, as the cards go around, they kind of like get like very straight face. They get like sucked into it.
Yeah, except Shauna, which I thought was good. they do like this really cool montage where it shows like the hunt happened the first time. I think they did this so that way whoever got the queen code was going to, be a reveal. I mean, it wasn't big of a reveal. It was obviously Shauna because it was the same outfit she was wearing and like the same like body shape and everything like that. So like it was obviously Shauna that got the queen code. It would have been better if they were all wearing like maybe not the same outfit but like the same color clothes. Then we would know. Like,
I'm interested in this because remember in the past the journal entry was like Shauna questioning why she wasn't the one who was chosen.
Yeah. I'm also interested in this because it seems like if you can get the queen code, but it doesn't seem like it's an immediate effect type of thing. Because obviously, as we saw with Natalie, it wasn't an immediate effect. So,
well, I'm also curious about that because they weren't going to give Natalie a chance to run. Like Natalie running, like wasn't in the plan. But then, so basically, like, everybody kind of goes to like grab a weapon, and then Lottie says like, "Are you choosing to run?"
Yeah. So
like, obviously the first time around, Natalie running, like, Natalie wasn't given the option to run. She just did that on her own. But it seems like after that happened, like whenever they did it again, they would give the person the option to run away.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Shauna starts running. Everyone's chasing off at her. It's very similar to the young versions of them doing the hunt, except there's less people. And during this, Callie, really good shot, shoots Lottie in the shoulder, and this is the first time she actually sticks up for Shauna here. She's like, "Get away from my mom." Really weird. Shauna's just talking Callie down, like telling her to put the gun down, and Callie's even like, "Wait, what the hell? They were going to kill you," and everything like that. Whatever. But Shauna's even asking Missy like, "Where the hell's the psych team?" And Thais is like, "We called them off." They didn't have Shauna get like pissed about that or anything like that. They just kind of cut to whatever like Lottie's doing and everything like that. So that's cool. And Lottie mentions, like, she talks about how capable Callie is, and she mentions, like, the wilderness is here. And, like, at one point before the hunt, Shauna even mentions, like, there was no it was just us. And Lottie's like, is there a difference? So that is interesting, because obviously we still,
Lottie's always, like, treated it like it is different. But, well, she's always said, like, it's been inside of us, but, like, like, it specifically deep. So yeah, I don't know how to feel about this. Where Lottie acknowledges, like, is there a difference?
Yeah, we'll see. But Lottie kind of goes around and says, "I don't know how you guys haven't felt it," and she kind of does the same thing again she did last episode, where she kind of pulls a Sarge from OVB, where she goes around and mentions all the things that everyone had done, and then she didn't really have a lot to say about Van, just like with Sarge with Caboose.
It's good to see you,
Yep. And then...
Everyone's kind of in a trance where it seems like they're all like going along with it, like because Shauna's like, "Guys, are you like actually crazy or like what?" And she's not like if they're like pretending, and it seems like they're actually like gonna kill Shauna.
Yeah, and Natalie kind of like starts going off on Lottie, mentioning like, "This is some bullshit. I'm not into this stuff and all that stuff," and then. Again, this is why I don't speak in riddles, because Lisa shows up with a shotgun and mentions like, "What do you mean you killed people?"
Well, I thought you skipped some stuff. Callie.
Huh?
Callie.
I said Callie comes with the gun and shoots Lottie.
Sorry, I think I missed what you were saying. Yeah, because I thought you were at the point where they were still at the fire and then Shauna ran away.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were still at that point because you were talking about how Lottie said, like, is there a difference?
Well, I went back to it because I forgot to mention it earlier. So.
Yeah, I will say though, them running after Shauna looked really awkward and kind of funny.
It did, very much so. You could definitely.
That wasn't.
Huh?
That wasn't great. Which is funny because last episode when they were chasing after her, they did a really good job with that. Like they all looked like fucking. They were really chasing after Natalie. We're gonna, go for the kill.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just these women are like older, I guess. So it's.
like it's a bunch of like middle-aged women. You know, they kind of just were like, like, it came off as very bad.
Yeah, they probably. It's weird too because they did a lot of editing in the past one, but they probably should have put that editing team to the present one. But yeah, so the Callie stuff happens, like I mentioned, and then Lisa shows up, and this is why you don't speak in riddles, because Lisa's trying to say like, "What do you mean you killed people?" She's trying to figure it out, and Natalie's telling her to like put the gun down.
Sorry, did you say when Callie shows up that they take off their masks and Van says that like the help isn't actually coming?
Yes, I did say that. Oh. You must have zoned out like when I talked to like for those few minutes.
I don't know why. That's just like I did not catch it.
Yeah. Doing all of this, Natalie's trying to talk down Lisa, but it's not very successful. And Misty pulls out some poison in needle form, and presumably the same poison she used to poison Jessica Roberts.
A knife like that, a poison that stabs into you, that goes into your body.
Yeah,
like some shit. Like a bullet is like a portable poison. Just it splatters your brain.
Yeah, why not? She charges at Lisa, and Natalie steps in front of it, and Misty inadvertently gets Natalie with the poison. And like you said off camera, AJ, this is the only reason they built this bond between Lisa and Natalie, was for this scene right here.
Yeah, I just don't care. Which is funny, because again, I'm like, a big complaint I had is like, they should like spend time establishing a bond between characters. Like, yeah, like, they did spend time establishing Natalie and Fork Girl. I just do not care.
And I think the reason you don't care is because she fucks off right after this happens. Like, she takes off running. Like,
I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy that Natalie would become friends with this girl.
Yeah.
This girl has like depression, I guess, but like we don't really know enough about her life to like bond to it. And yeah, like you said, we don't really get a reaction from Fork Girl. Fork Girl showed up to interrupt the hunt, so Misty would try to stab her, so Natalie would die, and then Fork Girl doesn't have a reaction to this. She just fucks up.
When you talk about her teaching Natalie about forgiveness, I don't know if I really buy that, because other than the stuff with Natalie, it doesn't really seem like she applies it that much. I know she tries to find forgiveness for her mom, but it seems like, I feel like even that kind of was a stretch too, type of thing. Like,
unseen too. Like, we didn't. Besides that, we didn't really get much of this role, like having forgiveness or fuck.
And I feel like this. And I feel like too, again, like, other than Natalie was the only one she built a bond with, so I feel like we're not going to see her next season. So
yeah, because it's like. She just comes into this, and she's like so confused. She's like, "Why are you all killing each other?" Natalie dies. The police show up. I don't think anybody ever explains what happened to her. So she's just like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yep. Everyone kind of stands there. They're like, "What do we do?" And Misty kind of realizes like there's nothing we can do, and I feel like they, because it's the same poison presumably that Kevin probably got also. And we get like a monologue like inside of Natalie's mind, which shows her sitting in the plane, and Natalie's obviously distraught, being like, "This isn't where I'm supposed to be," and she sees Harvey in there for some reason. Again, it's cool they built a bond. It shows that she's feeling guilt about killing Harvey in the past, but it's like, I don't know, it wasn't enough. They didn't really establish that in the past.
Harvey, because remember we get like Natalie's POV of the plane crash where she was hallucinating her dad, who she feels guilt over because her dad like fell on his gun, which went off because he was fighting with Natalie, and then the whole fucking show has been her like grieving Travis, so it's weird that she didn't see like her dad or Travis in this like. Well, her dad's been, I want to bring him up because this shot is similar to when she saw her dad, where like, she's on the plane.
Yeah.
So her not seeing her dad or Travis and instead seeing Javi, it's like, why?
Again, a choice that was made, AJ.
They had Javi because he died last episode. Like that feels like why they had Javi here.
Yeah. It'd be one thing too if they couldn't get the. I would, her dad not being in it. I wouldn't have much issue with, because like, okay, maybe they can't get that actor again. That's fine. Travis, no excuse. You could have easily gotten.
He was earlier. He was in this season earlier. So, and again, that has been such a big part of her arc that I'm like, okay, Travis should have been here. You should have seen Travis.
Yeah, that would be like Jesse dying, and then we don't see we never get like a flashback of Walt or anything like that type of thing. So,
imagine if, we get flashbacks of Mike, Jane, and Todd, but we don't get anything for Walt.
Yep. So, and really too, you could have gotten. This was actually a cool opportunity to get I know it'd probably be a bit too much fan. You could have gotten old Travis and young Travis all in one shot. That would.
Yeah. We see adult Natalie talking to young Natalie.
Oh, this is still me. But adult Natalie is talking to young Natalie. That was cool. Where young Natalie says, "This is exactly where we're supposed to be," and then Natalie is obviously freaking out, and then we see young Lottie say, "It's okay, Natalie. Just breathe and let it in," and then Natalie dies from that. Well, I guess she was already dead by that point, but that's the end of Natalie. But Natalie's death scene was obviously treated like a big deal somewhat, because they really emphasize it and everything like that. But
well, one, it's her story feels unfinished.
Yep.
Remember Lottie was telling how Travis died? Immediately I was calling bullshit, which is funny because Natalie was too. I was like, I don't buy it. I guess I have to buy it now because one, Natalie was the only one who really gave a shit when Travis died. So if they reveal more about that, then no one would really care.
Yeah.
And because Natalie's not around anymore. You don't want to foreshadow somebody's death too much, because then it makes it super obvious they're going to die. This was the opposite. This was the other end of that problem, where there was no foreshadowing. It feels like Natalie just died to have a big death with Natalie.
Yeah.
It was there, and Kevin died within the same fucking hour of Natalie. And it's weird because remember that was a big thing last season, was they had a kind of relationship for a little while. They didn't even know they were in the same area.
Yeah, this sucks. Also, too, like I said, Natalie's story feels unfinished. It seemed like they just wanted to kill off a big character. Honestly, and it feels like it's just too soon to kill off one of the big characters. You just got all the characters together.
Of all it sucks because, Natalie's been my favorite, and her story had a nosedive in season 2. Shauna had a big upgrade. Tyson, and Misty was about the same. But Natalie's story was a pretty big downgrade from season 1, I feel like. So it's of all the characters to kill off, it sucks. It was the one I was most attached to. And it was on a season where I feel like she wasn't at her best.
Yep. So, yeah, and I think I told this story to AJ off camera. I didn't get to watch season 2 live, obviously, because, I was away during that time. But my uncle mentioned, that the fan base are pissed about what happened. So I kind of had to put 2 and 2 together, and I figured it was either Natalie, Thaisa, and Misty would be the ones that the fans would be mad about. And that's the thing. All the character stories feel unfinished, but I feel like who was the one that was going to be mad about? I kind of figured it'd be Natalie type of thing.
Oh, your uncle. Do you mean
just
my uncle?
Just my uncle. My mom's side, okay. So it'd be just my uncle. I would have said all uncle if I was talking about.
Right, well, I don't know. I was asking this. I'm curious. I was like, oh, cool. There's one of our uncles like YellowJackets. So.
But yeah, this Natalie's death. Also too, it's in the middle of the episode. It's not even the end of the episode or anything like that. And that doesn't have to be a make or break, but they kind of drop it in, and there's like still some more stuff after that, and it's nothing really other than the burning down of the cabin. Nothing else really big happens. Like I remember when Gus died, we still had like a lot of big scenes after that in the finale of season 4. You still had them burning the lab down, and then finding out that Walt poisoned Brock and everything like that type of thing. So, Natalie's death is just kind of just a real nosedive. I feel like too the thing is, I would care more, but they dropped the ball so badly with Natalie in season 2 that's also why Natalie's death really sucks, because Natalie didn't get to die in a good season of her character. Like, honestly, if she died season 1, that would be like a big time. That would be great actually to kill her off there and everything like that.
She actually like did commit suicide. That would have been a very powerful scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they kept Natalie alive to just kill her off in a worse way.
Kind of remind you, weirdly enough, of that soldier guy that comes back with the mechanical arm and OVP and everything like that, where they...
Yeah, where you got shot with a fucking laser from space. A skyscraper fell on him. He comes back, and then he gets killed by something that's like, wow. You figure after all that shit, that would kill him.
Yep. And then, the medics and stuff take Natalie away. They kind of realize that she had some type of drug overdose, but they're going to, like, take her and do, like, an autopsy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense why they didn't really explain to them what happened. But it kind of just sucks that, like, I guess nobody's going to tell what happened. So I guess, people are just going to assume she's, because she has a history of being a junkie. Everyone's just going to think, oh, she just died of drugs. It's like, oh, that sucks, because she was actually pretty clean for a while.
Yep. And then because he's dead, Elijah Wood comes up with a bunch of cops there and everything like that. He says, hey, I just handled the Adam Mountain situation. And then Misty says, I just killed my best friend. It's supposed to obviously be like a very sad scene and everything like that, but I was just thinking, like, wait a minute.
Here's that, he's like, okay, so I'm obviously reporting.
Yeah. To both ends. And I feel like
I don't know which one to report more.
Yeah. And then
Cops get there. When they get there, like, they're gonna see like the masks and the weapons, and then like obviously Callie had a gun. I guess she hit it. It's like I would have, if I were the cop, I would have so many fucking questions.
Yep.
And also, like, does the public know about the cult? Like, I mean, they know, like, the people who wear purple show up to, like, the farmer's market. But, like, when the cops show up, are they going to be like, what the fuck is this place?
Well, yeah, because Kevin and Mr.
Buddy got shot. So they're going to be like, why the fuck do you have a bullet in your arm?
Yep.
Because the EMTs are, like, treating her. They'll be like, okay, so what happened?
Yep. And then Jeff comes over to Shauna and says, like, hey, everything's gonna be okay. I like he's actually, like, vague, not like Elijah Wood, who just openly says, like, hey, I answered, took care of the lot.
Again, feels really weird that Shauna's plot line kind of got resolved for her.
Yep.
And also, you kind of missed it. It was a small scene. After Elijah Wood gave Mr. Mustache Man his shitty ultimatum, you get a scene of Jeff, like, watching in the trees, and he kind of just, like, darts away. And, like, suspenseful music played, so I think that was supposed to imply, like, oh shit, Jeff's going down a dark path.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Jeff's gonna kind of have a villain arc or something.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, because I like Jeff. He, again, kind of like Ben, he's making all the smart decisions, except this episode, Ben, I guess, was holding the smart ball, and Jeff kind of was left to not hold the smart ball. I guess
so. And then, Lottie tells Taissa and Van that the wilderness is pleased with our choice. So they don't even treat like Natalie's death like a sad thing. They're like, yeah, the wilderness is happy type of thing.
That, which I guess makes sense because she was involved with the season 1. Her and Natalie were together. And I guess it's like, yeah, I guess nobody else would be sad because nobody else has really interacted much with Natalie.
Yeah, but still, that's a big part. That's a big part of their lives and everything like that.
Like, when you think about it, like, Natalie's kind of just been doing her own thing. In the past, she talked to Shauna. Like, Kaisa and Natalie haven't really talked at all. Van and Natalie haven't talked at all. And they were all together for like the blackmailer episode. That's kind of it. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I guess nobody has much of a reaction to Natalie. It's like, I'm sad, but like, they were barely fucking around Natalie.
Yeah. And that's the present. Present's a thumbs down. It was a mess.
Yeah.
We're doing great.
Yeah, that's kind of it for the present. That's kind of a pretty lackluster finale.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I had heard the fans were like pissed about one of the characters.
Even on like a cliffhanger, kind of just like Natalie's dad. I don't even know what they're gonna do from now on.
Yeah. So, and this sucks too because this was the last YellowJackets thing we got for like 2 years because obviously the writer's strike and everything like that. So I kind of critique this episode a little bit more considering the fact that
now we're all caught up now. Neither of us have seen season 3, so we're both at the same point now, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna give this. You know what? I'm tempted to give it an F, but there's a lot of scenes I like in isolation that unfortunately gets kind of fall flat because of the aftermath and the lead up to it. But there's a lot of scenes where I'm like, it was good acting. Like nobody really did a bad job for the acting.
Yeah.
Kind of, and like it was shot really well. A lot of really good camera shots. So I'm gonna give it like a D-. Probably my least favorite episode of the show.
I agree with you. D-. A lot of like I said, a lot of scenes are shot well. I get if Ben wasn't here, it probably would be an F. From this episode, I went from like being neutral to Travis and Van to hating them. Because I'm like, Travis sucks. I just don't give a shit about him. He doesn't react to anything like he should. He kind of comes off as just like a spineless little bitch. And Van, I was kind of interested in like her cancer thing, but her being like wanting the hunt to happen. I'm like, I don't know why. Right.
And again, the reason Natalie dies, and like, I'm just like, why? Nobody even really reacts to it much.
Right. And that's the thing about Van too. I was thinking she would want the hunt to happen, thinking maybe she'll pick the queen code so that way she could die because of a cancer. But like, Van, you only have like what, 1 of 6 chance to get the queen code. Your odds aren't very big to get the queen code.
Van was like thinking like wanting to die, but I'm like, okay, well, Van, your chances aren't that one to be good. Taissa, her heart was in place, but she was dumb. Because again, she doesn't want the hunt to happen, but she called off the medics. So what did you think would happen, Taissa?
Right. And again,
I was so mad that she was like making out with Van when obviously her wife is. Taissa has not even mentioned that.
Yep.
That like is in the hospital because of her. She has like not brought that up in a while.
She has, but like, yeah, then she's doing a lot of dumb shit like this.
Shauna's again fine. Again, I'm disappointed that like she wasn't really involved with getting like cleared of the Adam murder charge.
Yeah, I would have liked. She should have been involved. That would be like,
I like Misty, her like guilt of because she's been trying so hard to like protect Natalie and protect the group as a whole, and then she ends up getting Adam killed.
Yeah, I feel like the stuff here that you could get interesting out of season 3. Like I am interested to see like what Misty will be like in season 3 because she's very depressed here. I'm interested to see like Shauna, Jeff, and like Callie, what that family dynamic's going to be like now that the Adam thing has resolved.
After season 1, I was really interested to start season 2. I was like, oh, winter's coming.
Yep.
With Jackie's death. In the present, what's up with the Adam murder, what happened with Natalie getting kidnapped by Lottie, and so much of that is just down the drain now. Where I'm like, there's some stuff I'm looking forward to in season 3, but a lot of it just got wasted in season 2.
Yeah. I think I talked about this too. I was thinking this episode only has. This season only has 9 episodes. I wonder if that kind of affected the season a little bit, because obviously they had 1 episode less, and they had to like get everything like out into like 2 episodes and like squeeze it in there.
A super valid excuse. I feel like you could have made this work for 9 episodes.
Yeah, they probably could have. But oh well. I guess graded the season as a whole. I'll go first. I think we've said before, when this show hits, it hits. Episode 2 was awesome. Episode 6 and 7 were fantastic. But, half of the season we had a lot of issues with. We had like 3 episodes in a row. Actually, we had 2 episodes in a row. Separate.
Horrible. One before it was like kind of just bad.
Yeah. And then we had 2 episodes in a row again.
That were great.
Yeah.
And then this one in episode 8 were kind of just like a whimper.
Yeah.
I gave a thumbs up when I was just saying it's not good.
Yeah. Well, you want a thumb? Yeah, actually. So I'm gonna go for this season. I'm gonna go C-.
Yeah, C- overall. It's funny. I think this is the first season overall we were just like, because Red versus Blue. I think like the lowest we've gone is like. I don't remember what we gave seasons 1 and 2. I think we might have gave it a C for those. But for the first time in a long time, we've given like a whole season such a low grade.
To be fair to OVB seasons 1 and 2, though, like you said, they were just messing around. They didn't really plan that there was going to be a big thing. This is like a big show, and like, yeah.
I feel like this has less of an excuse, yeah. Because even RVB season 9 had issues, but like I think we gave that like B.
Yeah.
And Breaking Bad obviously never even fucking close to getting this low.
And then Death Note. We haven't
didn't really have C. Even post time skip had a lot of issues, but I don't think we were ever going to give it a C-.
No. And then well, Kiss.
And let me tell you, Ben and Avatar are not getting C-. We're not done with those seasons yet, but let me tell you, they are not getting C-.
Well, I know one show that's not getting a C-. Kiss season 1's not getting a C-.
I'm not getting a C-. You're right about that.
So, that's one thing
that... Point the YellowJackets. Kiss won't get a C-.
But yeah, and again, I'm also going C- too, because this was the last thing we saw for like a while again for like YellowJackets, like...
Issue, because again, season 3 was coming out like right before we started the season 2 reviews. So, I guess I don't have to wait that long to start season 3.
Yeah. But that's my issue, is like, we had to... I think that's the thing, too. You don't even realize the season finale is coming up until, like, episode 8. Like, usually there's a build to, like, when a show is going to have its finale. You don't really get that with this season of YellowJackets either, type of thing. It just kind of happens. Like, but yeah, that's the end of YellowJackets. I'm happy we got season 2 done. I think definitely we need a break from YellowJackets for a while. Well, like, do 6 videos.
It, really capitalizes on the good parts of season 2. And kind of minimizes the bullshit.
But we'll see. Hey, one good thing from season 2 is it looks like Ben's still going to be in it, so that's good.
It seems like with the way the past ended, that like Ben's going to be a major player next season. So that'd be great. Hopefully Ben continues his big brain and big balls,
Yeah. But yeah, anything you want to plug or promote before we get out of here?
No.
But that's pretty much it for my things. Thank you guys for watching this video. Check out Wrestling Fortune 44 for all the wrestling videos. And then we're taking a little bit of a break until like the end of May from YellowJackets and OVB. And we're going to do some other stuff that like AJ and I have been neglected. And then we'll do...
Yeah, aside from the comparison video, we're taking a fucking year break from Red vs. Blue.
Yeah. And then YellowJackets will pick up season 3 at the end of May. Hopefully, it'll be good. So,
We're both going in. Look forward to that.
Yep. So that's pretty much it, guys, and we would talk to you guys later.